Part 145. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1444. Jia Yan's strength is no longer so inferior to that of a god king. It should even be said that against such a business star god king, he had to have an advantage, otherwise he wouldn't be able to blow away the god king's kingdom with the power of ripples. Jia Yan's words made the commercial star god king look at Jia Yan with concentration again. As soon as the magical power of ripples appeared, it suppressed all the ordinary gods and gods around them so that they could not move. The power of the kingdom of God in their bodies was all pressed back into their bodies, which made the god king completely unable to move. Imagine what kind of suppressing power this is. It's not like the kingdom of God, and I've never heard of any divine power that has such an effect. What is it? The God King was extremely dignified and unleashed the power of his kingdom of God with all his strength. Only then did he manage to save the gods around him while trembling. In addition, he was beyond the reach of commercial star spiritual creatures that were close to gods such as Relancy. Grown-ups. Don't talk yet and deal with them. Luo Longxi stopped the sheep-headed god's surprise words to Jia Yan, and then approached the business star god in front of her who was attacking her just now and almost killed her. For her, she has become more and more ruthless. As a female god, she still cares about her status as a god, or the face and dignity of a strong person. But after joining Jia Yan's team, she found that his style should be to imitate Jia Yan and show no mercy when it's time to strike. Puff. The god who thought he was going to kill Luo Longxi just now looked at the person he could kill, and struck him with force, killing him directly. I'm not willing to give in. Who is this? His last gaze was not on Luo Longxi, the female god who killed him, but on Jia Yan, who had just appeared. He was unwilling to give in. When he saw that he was about to win the battle, a spoiler appeared. He was not the only one who felt this way, because at this moment, the three female gods, under the reminder of Relancy, slaughtered their opponents one by one. And all the gods they killed did not stare at the female gods who killed them, but looked in the direction of Jia Yan. Until their death, they didn't know who this person who suddenly appeared and showed the power of ripples was. Sir, thank you for your intervention. Luo Longxi and the two divine sisters finally killed their opponents, and then came to Jia Yan's back one by one, staggering with wounds all over their bodies. And on the way, the god king over there and the gods he rescued all looked ugly and wanted to come to the rescue, but Jia Yan's ripple power still spread out tightly, causing they wanted to rush in, but couldn't. Sir, who is it? And what kind of creature is it? The commercial star god king finally felt that Jia Yan's strength was definitely not inferior to him, and it was even possible that he was stronger than him. He didn't try to save him with all his strength just now. He felt that if he attacked with all his strength, the ripple power might be blown away by him, but then he would fall into Jia Yan's attack range and be temporarily at a disadvantage, and might even attract the opponent. Attack like a violent storm. He was unwilling to take such a risk on his own, so he had no impulse. I said, guess. Jia Yan was happy to pretend to be mysterious. In Jia Yan's opinion, the existence of this god king must have been at ease for a long time. He was not even aware of the star-level existence power that obviously exploded from his body power. He did not completely destroy these gods. When it comes to killing, of course he is happy to pretend to be mysterious. Well, since these are your subordinates, I will spare their lives for your sake, and you can leave quickly. After the god king hesitated for a while, he did not worry about what kind of race Jia Yan was and what abilities he used. After all, in this great realm of gods, although the strength and cultivation status of most of the gods were roughly the same, they were far less powerful than the star level outside. There is so much diversity in the world, but there are also some gods with weird abilities. So he still didn't think about the stellar level powerhouse. Haha, thank you very much, sir, but before leaving, I would like to ask, who is the mysterious big man you mentioned? Jia Yan did not reject the other party's kindness. He gathered his power, then wrapped himself in a group of severely injured female gods and slowly entered the subspace. And he must get an answer to his question, because he must know who this so-called big shot is, otherwise the future will be too constrained. This existence is something you can't resist. I won't say his name, but I can tell you that he is a god emperor. The god king creature, after thinking solemnly, revealed the identity of the mysterious big man to Jia Yan. God Emperor. Jia Yan, who had just retreated into the subspace, was suddenly shocked. Thank you. I also apologize to you on behalf of my subordinates for the damage caused this time. Farewell. Jia Yan quickly gathered a group of subordinates, quickly escaped into the depths of subspace, and left extremely quickly in the direction of the Aditya. This time he faced a god king and was not at any disadvantage, which also meant that his current strength had firmly reached the level of the god king. Even though there is still a certain gap between Wuda and the title of god king, compared to the strength of ordinary middle-level stars, he is definitely capable of fighting and even winning. But this is the realm of the gods, and there is a so-called big shot behind him. Jia Yan did not choose to have a battle with the seemingly weak commercial star god king to prove his strength. Sir, we have failed in our duties this time, please atone for our sins. Luo Longxi was wrapped up in Jia Yan's power in the subspace, and no twisted power affected her. After some hesitation, she still apologized to Jia Yan. This is an emergency. You are not at fault at all. I will not blame you or anything. Jia Yan shook his head at her, but your injuries are very serious, so you should take good care of yourself. Let us do the next thing. What Jia Yan said was not to soften their hearts, because what happened this time was indeed not their fault, and they were extremely tenacious and endured the attacks of a group of gods and a god king until they arrived. As far as Jia Yan is concerned, it is extremely satisfying. The only thing we need to worry about is the god emperor. I don't know why, but it actually attracted the attention of a god emperor. Jia Yan didn't say any more. Originally, the Odisha was on standby near the commercial star, so he only flew in subspace for a short time before he returned to the vicinity of the Odisha. You guys should train well. The energy you brought back is also very useful. It just needs a certain amount of conversion time before we can eject again. Jia Yan felt that the situation was a bit serious, because the so-called God Emperor in the divine realm was a powerful person equivalent to a high-level star-level existence in the outside world. With his current strength, he would not be able to defeat a lower-level star being, let alone fight him. Even if he could escape, it would probably be difficult. Even if he uses his subspace talent, he will definitely have a way to deal with it. I have said before that the stronger the person, the more they reach the level of perfection. The same is true for the beings in front of the gods. It is just that they are limited by the influence of their own cultivation system and have shortcomings such as lack of endurance. But in fact, it is still unknown how much weaker the god emperors at the galaxy level or territory lord level will be than those at the galaxy level. The god emperor is too powerful. There may even be a god king under him who is more powerful than me. The only thing we can do now is to leave quickly. But I wanted to leave quickly, but I was a little short of time. This is the same situation as the last time we encountered in the stellar battlefield. Even if the Odisha already has energy, it will take a certain amount of time to convert it into ejection energy. After thinking so much, he decided to find a place to hide like last time. And this time they have to hide it even more secretly, because last time it was only mid-level star-level beings who were looking for them, but now the God Emperor, who is more powerful than them, has actually appeared, that is, a late-level star-level strongman. This is too scary. If you don't hide more tightly, you will definitely be courting death. Okay, everyone heard what I said. Next, we will find a place that is easy to defend and difficult to attack, and use these divine battleships as a fortress. If we encounter an enemy, we will fight like we did last time. As long as Edisha, if the ship can convert energy, we will still have a chance to escape. Understood. We are used to this situation. Several subordinates are still very optimistic about the current situation. After all, this situation is just to deal with a creature that may appear, and they don't even know whether they are friends or foes. Even if he is very powerful, surpassing all the strong men they dealt with last time, they are still willing to personally I don't know yet about taking action. So the current matter is just to prepare for a rainy day, and they don't have that much to worry about. Next, Jia Yan and others quickly found a place with many asteroids. According to the last construction and after the battle, Jia Yan's team came up with some improvement plans based on the last battle process. Several captured divine warships were quickly dismantled again and became the defense plan for the fortress. Several female gods no longer have much fighting power. Fortunately, they still have an understanding of the gods and battleships, and their guidance on one side can be regarded as having some effect. While Jia Yan and others were preparing for a rainy day, after the war, the commercial star land was already devastated. A group of business star gods who have been seriously reduced in number are sorting out the items in the city without tears. They are also responsible for comforting their subordinates and preventing the intrusion of powerful people from other places. It is very miserable. Even the strongest God King level commercial star was in dire straits at this time. The commercial star had suffered too much loss. Although Jia Yan's appearance did not cause any real damage, when facing female gods such as Luo Longxi, the fluctuations caused by their war at least caused the losses of commercial star to reach astronomical figures. But under such circumstances, the two approaching creatures still surprised the God King, who was busy with his busy schedule. He quickly greeted him personally. What? That creature from the La Longxi divine system actually dared to disobey my master? Furthermore, there is a strong person in the La Longxi divine system who can compare with your beauty. How is this possible? The two creatures had just arrived at the commercial star. They were first struck by the devastated scene on the commercial star and felt frightened for a while. I thought it was a god king from somewhere who came to attack this commercial star. But after asking about the situation, the two gods were frightened for a while, because in their opinion, anyone who dared to come to the commercial star they ordered would definitely be killed by this god. It was only right that Wang stopped him. Unexpectedly, this La Longxi divine system actually has a trump card? Even an existence that has reached the level of God King. The gods who act as agents are usually below the level of the God King. This God King actually became an agent and was hidden under several gods? This is too weird. The two gods, at this moment, felt extremely weird about Jia Yan's strength. What? He can enter subspace. There is also an extremely weird ripple power, and even his sense of power is different from ours. Why does it sound like a powerful person in the universe? The two gods, after learning more about Jia Yan's strength, felt frightened by Jia Yan's strength. Then they no longer had the idea of looking for this mysterious being on their own. After all, this display of strength has reached the level of a god king, and it is not something that the two powerful gods can fight against. My lord, this La Longxi divine system actually has a secret. Yes, that's right. There is also a strong man among them who has reached the level of God King. However, according to the process of our understanding, we found out that his strength is estimated to have some problem. And just when these two powerful gods started to contact each other, nearly a light year away, a terrifying creature with astonishing momentum answered the communication voice. Subspace talent? Is there any mysterious ripple power? This terrifying creature listened to these messages calmly, and after a long time, he smiled slightly. Since I went to the outside world 200 years ago and fought against those stellar-level warriors, this is the first time I have heard news about the powerful warriors in the universe in so many years. But I am very curious, how did this powerful man from the universe get into my spiritual realm? This terrifying creature with astonishing strength, after thinking for a while, his body moved slightly. This movement seemed to be a change of scenery, triggering a shocking change in the starry sky. This matter actually happened because I wanted to recruit an agent from the God line. It just so happened that I also had an agreement with that guy. I wanted to compete recently. It was for this reason that I recruited an agent. Now I have another one. A good competition target. Send my order to my old friend to send this message. Whoever catches this outsider first will win. Please remember the first domain name of this book. VIP Chinese. Mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1445. The powerful God Emperor is equivalent to a high-level star-level existence in the outside world. Even Jia Yan couldn't imagine the strength of this kind of existence. After all, this kind of strength is already equivalent to the strength of the original owner of the Edissa. Of course, the strength level of that senior is by no means as simple as an ordinary high-level star. At least the Edissa said that this with the fighting power of a senior, it would be difficult for even the weakest galaxy level to catch him. But this does not mean that other high-level stars are not powerful. Anyway, for Jia Yan today, this kind of strength exists that he does not dare to confront head-on. Even if he is a God King, that is, a strong mid-level star, he would not dare to confront him head-on. Sir, we will continue to make arrangements, but you should be at the juncture of a breakthrough, my lord. After all, your increased strength will be of greater help to us. I hope that by then, you will be able to come out of seclusion. Just give us a helping hand in times of crisis. The heavenly cowherd knew that Jia Yan was probably at the critical moment of a breakthrough, so he enthusiastically dismantled the captured warship while his subordinates were in full swing, and under the guidance of the gods, he placed traps and other arrangements. Came to Jia Yan. Moreover, he chose to trust Jia Yan and let him practice on his own with complete peace of mind. Well, I have indeed reached an important moment to break through to the peak of the primary stage of stars. It won't take long, just a few days, just enough to be able to get out while the Edissa is sorting out its energy. I hope no enemy has attacked before this. After Jia Yan pondered for a while, he nodded. Just like that, he immediately entered cultivation again. The subordinates outside are all making arrangements quickly and in an orderly manner. But without the help of the gods, their speed is not as fast as last time, and only 5-star level experts have combat effectiveness. For Jia Yan's team, it can be said that the combat effectiveness is at its lowest point. Jia Yan himself was in the depths of the subspace, and the Edisha was cooperating with his subordinates to make arrangements elsewhere. He took about 50 divine crystals and swallowed them slowly and solemnly. Urgent but not chaotic, this is the fundamental theme of my practice this time. If I time it well, these 50 divine crystals should be enough for me to use within a few days, and their quantity should be just right for me. Breaking through to the peak of the primary stage of stars. Jixi's strength will definitely reach a new level. Jia Yan took out the divine crystal, the condensate secreted out, and then slowly absorbed the power inside into his body. Each divine crystal, under pressure, seemed to be slow, but in fact it was not slow, and was quickly absorbed by Jia Yan. His strength also rose under such circumstances. Although the rate of increase was not as rapid as that of his previous advances, it was still at an extremely astonishing speed. A few days passed quickly with such arrangement and improvement. The 4 subordinates of the gods finally managed to completely suppress their injuries in a few days. For ordinary strong people, they do not have the amazing recovery speed of Jia Yan, so if they want to recover quickly, it will not happen overnight. Of course, when Jia Yan provides a large number of crystals of faith, as they are gods and will recover very quickly. But this war is definitely not going to catch up. Although no one is sure whether this war will happen, they assume that this crisis will trigger a war. Finally, the energy from the Edessa was about to be completely controlled for a short distance ejection. But at the same time, bad news also came. What? The distant intelligence system reported that some warships were approaching quickly. This. After hearing the news, Tien Nialang was startled for a moment, and then stopped thinking about other things. The adults are still in seclusion, and the Edessa is almost gone. Just watch. If the other party is really coming for us, we will resist them for a while. When the adults recover, we will take the Edessa. Leave. Every subordinate is looking forward to Jia Yan's promotion, even greater than Jia Yan himself. And their detector detected the location. Sure enough, there were two distinct teams heading towards the asteroid belt where Jia Yan and the others were. Haha, by way, this time you and I are in the same compilation area. It seems that our competition is really going to be a winner. Haha, Mita, we still don't know whether we can meet the existence of the God Emperor. You actually want to decide the outcome with me? You can decide if you want to. I'll find someone else later. In the land of men, let's fight. Hey, why are you still so irritable? You're already at the level of a God King. Oh, forget it. If you want to fight, you can do it later. Find a place to fight. I'll be here too. My hands are itchy. Among the two major teams, there were two huge warships that reached 10 kilometers in length, fighting each other with the power of brainwaves. But just when their fighting spirit reached a certain level, suddenly, the creatures in a huge battleship froze. Hey, there is a detector in a place where birds don't lay eggs. Haha, it seems we don't have to fight to decide the winner. We're lucky. Well, we are so lucky. The God Emperor sent 10 teams, and we encountered them. But we are not sure whether they are there yet. Let's go and investigate. The two teams used extremely high-level technology. Through the fluctuations of the detector, they could instantly tell where their signals were transmitted. Like cats that smelled a fishy smell, they quickly moved towards the direction of Jia Yan's team. Madness is coming. In fact, if Jia Yan and others did not release the detector, there would definitely not be so much trouble. Even when they searched the asteroid belt, Jia Yan and others might have left. But it is absolutely impossible not to release detectors to guard the four directions. It is like eyes. Apart from this kind of detector, it is impossible for them to use it at ultra-long distances. At least this way they can be prepared in advance. They did not expect that the tracker would have such fast positioning equipment, otherwise the detectors would be distributed more secretly. But no matter what, the current situation is that the two teams are chasing Jia Yan and the others in a straight line without any detours. Coming. What? So fast. When there was only 1 hour left on the clock, the subordinates of Jia Yan's team were all shocked. They felt the waves coming from the powerful one. Why haven't you come out of seclusion yet? The Aditha hasn't converted its energy yet. Isn't this the same scene as last time? Don't be afraid. We were able to overcome the difficulties last time, and we can definitely do it this time. Even if we lose 4 people, the remaining 5 people can definitely fight against a God King. In other words, even if there is an ordinary God King come, we all have a chance to draw. At this moment, the heavenly cowherd and several star-level experts felt the coming power, and they all cheered each other up. The 4 female gods looked anxious, but they were seriously injured and could not help much. They wanted to wake up Jia Yan, but they didn't dare. If it happened to be the most important moment for Jia Yan's breakthrough and they disturbed him, they might even cause serious injuries to Jia Yan. This would put the cart before the horse. And even more, a scene appeared that made a group of Jia Yan team members feel heart palpitations. Well, they are actually 2 God Kings, and their strength is not ordinary. Alas! What should we do? There is no adult here. With the 5 of us, there is nothing we can do to stop him. Several star-level creatures were completely caught off guard at this moment. They didn't know why 2 God Kings came when the enemy came. Even the strength of these 2 God Kings was stronger than they imagined. A lot of it came out. We can only resist one person at most. Let's burst out our strength quickly, or use fortifications. We can hold on for a few more minutes under the hands of the 2 God Kings. None of the subordinates had any intention of giving up, because they had experienced such a scene last time, and they had not lived well. The term perseverance has become synonymous with the strong men in Jia Yan's team, because they feel that as long as Jia Yan is leading the team, miracles can happen at any time. Haha, it's really here. Is this the so-called relency god system? Oh my god, in addition to 4 seriously injured gods who have reached the god level, there are also several star-level creatures. This. Big news, definitely big news. There are star-level powerful people running into my spiritual domain, and there are so many of them. If this news comes out, we will all become famous. Catch them. That's right, even the high-ranking God Emperor may be moved by this news, because they are also afraid of what the powerful man in the universe will do. You must know that even our God Emperor must be respectful. Feeling that in this asteroid belt, the strength of the star-level experts came out to meet the enemy's explosive use. The approaching enemy team was first panicked, and then everyone was happy. Stand up. They were still wondering whether the God Emperor sensed something was wrong with the La Longxi divine system, which was why he sent so many strong men and teams to search everywhere. But now that they saw the target, they knew. Lord God Emperor is indeed very good at predicting things. This group of so-called La Longxi troops actually used some method to hide so many outside star-level experts here. Huh? It's actually as the God Emperor said. There are star-level experts here, even more than what the God Emperor said. In front of the 2 teams, in the 2 huge battleships, the 2 powerful God Kings who were at war with each other before expressed their anger to each other. This team is only as powerful as a few elementary level stars. The 4 great gods are still injured. We have 2 God Kings here, each with 5 or 6 god subordinates. Take down they have more than enough. So let's see who gets more. Okay, but His Majesty the God Emperor of our side has said that the star level that has sneaked into my spiritual realm must have some secrets, otherwise it will not be able to sneak in, so it must be captured alive. Presumably the God Emperor over there also said the same thing. There are so many stars here, we don't need to rob them, we just compete to see who can capture more alive. Good. The 2 God Kings were also startled when they saw a group of stellar powerhouses at first. You must know that seeing a star-level powerhouse in the realm of gods is like seeing a ghost. How can they not be surprised? However, they each remembered what their God Emperor said, and they understood that this situation was something that the God Emperor had anticipated. The only difference was that the one possible entrant they expected turned out to be so many, and the 2 God Emperors competed to see who could catch them first, which also turned into who could capture more alive. The 2 God Kings agreed upon the matter and flew out of the battleship together. Coming. Here, the creatures of Jia Yan's team such as Tianyi Alang and La Longxi all looked solemn. They all knew that the 2 God Kings were coming, but when these 2 God Kings flew out of the battleship and released their momentum without any reservation, their expressions were still extremely solemn. Because the strength of these 2 God Kings is not weak at all. Even if they cannot reach the level of the titled God King, they are certainly infinitely close. In other words, the 5-star level experts they are fighting will actually have to face 2 existences that are almost equivalent to the titled God King. Even on each side of these 2 God Kings, there are 5 or 6 gods who seem to be stronger than the gods guarding the commercial star. You outsiders, as well as those traitors who betrayed Shinto, surrender to us honestly. Maybe we won't kill you so quickly. A God King looked at the defenses deployed in the asteroid belt from a high position, with a flash of disdain on his face. Because he is the God King, how can the strength of a God King be hindered by such small means? The God King on the other side was also a behemoth with a size of 5 kilometers. He looked at the asteroid belt with a simple layout but was located at key points. He also had a look of disdain on his face. But at the same time, he also expressed doubts. This group of outsiders has actually set up defenses here a long time ago. Do they still think they can survive here forever? Do they have any other means of escape? The two God Kings used their brainwave power to sweep around. Soon, in the subspace, the Edisha, which had no time to hide in the depths, was detected by them because it was too superficial. They actually have warships that can move in subspace. This method is amazing. It seems they have some reason why they can't leave yet. Hurry, do it, otherwise you will miss the opportunity. The two God Kings felt the Edisha in the subspace, and their expressions suddenly changed, because the escape methods in the subspace were relatively high-end in their opinion, and even they rarely had the ability to intercept them. Therefore, the two God Kings simply did not allow such a situation to happen, and immediately launched a direct attack. Please remember the first domain name of this book. VIP Chinese. Mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1446. The attackers did not notice that not far from the Aditha, there was a figure of quite a large size, which was in the process of practicing. Condensation was billowing on the surface of the body, and it was almost completed. Boom! With a bang, a shocking sound hit the small defensive star line. However, within this asteroid, the attacking rays of light did not stop. Not good. The demeanor of the attacking divine creature changed drastically. He did not expect that when he attacked the defense facilities here, the artillery fire inside would not be damaged by one blow. Haha, this is the power of our defensive artillery design. The heavenly cowherd laughed, but his voice quickly disappeared because the two divine beings teamed up to break through the defensive artillery fire in an asteroid belt and came to him. How could it be so fast? Come on, let's help with the artillery system defense, don't let them destroy too much. Knowing that if they only relied on themselves, they would be completely unable to resist the attack of such a group of powerful people, Tianyi Alang said this to the four surrounding star-level powerful people, and at the same time, he took the lead in charging forward. The 5-star-level experts quickly used their joint fighting method, and as soon as this method was used, the two God Kings felt deeply shocked. They actually have the skills to join forces. This is unlikely. How can a stellar powerhouse have such combat skills? No. They actually carry the fluctuations of my spiritual system. This. The two powerful God Kings were completely shocked when the outside world saw this scene, because this kind of thing seemed to let them see that water and fire were in the same space, which was very funny. But they had to admit that with their own eyes, the 5-star level experts in front of them all revealed waves of spiritual system fluctuations in their bodies, or in other words, very similar fluctuations, slightly different, but not the same. Big. The combat skills they joined forces with are related to the fluctuations of the divine system. This is definitely a big secret. If we can catch them, not only us, but also the God Emperor behind us will be greatly successful. Day. After all, the two God Kings had experienced strong winds and rains, and they quickly calmed down. The first thing they did was not to rush forward to capture the 5-star level experts, but to take out their respective communicators. Sir, yes, we have found them, and they are also stuck in an asteroid belt. However, I have more shocking news to tell you. Your Majesty the God Emperor, I have urgent news. The two God Kings each used extremely expensive real-time communication methods to tell their respective leaders who were extremely far away, the two God Kings behind them, that here, the 5-star level powerhouses actually possessed their gods. A shocking event in the energy of the system. And sure enough, their news also made the God Emperor behind each feel extremely shocked. Hurry up and capture them alive. This matter is definitely a shocking case. The fluctuations in our divine system can actually be simulated by stellar powerhouses. It seems that they used this method to escape into our star domain. No, I'll rush there now. You guys, work harder for me. If you can, catch them. But I guess it's difficult to catch creatures with such weird abilities. You can just hold them down for me, and I'll catch them myself. Arrive. Both God Emperors expressed great concern about this matter, and one of them was even silent, saying that he would come in person immediately. Don't doubt the movement methods of the powerful God Emperor. Their methods will definitely not be inferior to Jia Yan's subspace talent speed, otherwise he would not become a powerful God Emperor. Of course, if the Edissa could initiate ejection and escape in extremely deep subspace, they would still be unable to catch up. So everything depends on whether they arrive first or Jia Yan and others here escape first. But the first thing Jia Yan and the others had to face were the two powerful God Kings in front of them. Hurt me. After a God King hung up the communication, he knew that they had an opportunity to make meritorious deeds and even become famous, so he directly took action personally. Ignoring the attacks from the surrounding artillery fire, even though he was slightly injured on the surface of his body, he still rushed to the side of Tenkalhert quickly, and a huge foot attack was directly printed on the surface of Tenkalhert's body. He did not kill him, after all, the God Emperor said he would capture him alive. Puff. Faced with the attack of the God King, even the attack of the God King who has almost reached the title level, Tianyi Alang, who was originally just an ordinary divine creature, and even now is only a little more powerful than ordinary divine creatures, is a star-level powerhouse. Hurt instantly. He spurted out blood and flew backwards quickly. Where to escape? This God King was so unyielding that he caught up to the Kalhert in an instant, and then suddenly used his claws that were larger than the Kalhert's body to hit the first Kalhert. Prey, caught. The God King on the other side is also not slow. The strength of both sides is almost the same, so there is no difference in their speed. He also suddenly injured the scorpion-like star-level creature, and now he was about to capture it. It is said that one of them can reach the level of God King. Why hasn't he appeared now? During the arrest, the two God Kings certainly did not forget the ripple creature mentioned in the last intelligence report. In fact, they now understand that the so-called ripples should be because this creature is also a star-level powerhouse. Only star-level powerhouses can have all kinds of weird abilities. He must not dare to show up anymore. We can just capture these creatures. The two God Kings don't think that the legendary star-level powerhouse who can only fight with a commercial star God King can pose any threat to them. After all, even if this existence has some weird ripple abilities, in fact, their two great God Kings far surpass the commercial star God King in terms of strength level. Even if you have a special fighting method, can you save people under the noses of their two God Kings? It was simply a fantasy. Even if they wanted to escape, they estimated that with such strength, they might not be able to escape under their noses, so even if they were around, they would definitely not dare to show up. But unfortunately, their ideas are not reality. Just when these two God Kings were about to catch a star-level creature, in the space beside them, suddenly, a terrifying aura suddenly rose up. Boom boom boom. In the supposedly silent cosmic space, bursts of strange fluctuations erupted, and there was even a ripple-like momentum. Just when the two God King level creatures were about to capture the two star level creatures in front of them, they suddenly appeared. Beside them. Buzz. This ripple quickly caused their bodies to shake. Although they quickly got rid of the shaking, the time wasted during this period still caused the two stellar powerhouses who were escaping to seize the opportunity in an instant and escape from their clutches. Who? If you dare to destroy our good deeds, you are seeking death. The two god kings looked coldly at the subspace place that revealed fluctuations. Although they had already vaguely guessed about this visitor, they were still surprised. If this person existed, he was exactly what the intelligence said. That subspace talented person, his strength seems to be stronger than the legend. After all, according to the intelligence, the strength of that subspace creature is about the same as that of an ordinary god king. You too, you said that I ruined your good deeds, but I haven't said yet what crime you deserve for chasing my subordinates. Accompanied by a faint male voice, the two god kings looked at the subspace, and a twisted wave slowly opened. A black creature that looked huge but actually looked tiny compared to the two god kings was revealed. Lord Jiayan. Several stellar powerhouses present, as well as the subordinates of the gods who were injured but did not participate in the battle, all shouted in surprise. They all came to the side of the creature that had just stepped out of the subspace. Yes, the one who flew out of the subspace was indeed Jiayan, who had just finished his retreat. You're actually so seriously injured? You've done a great job. Let's all go to the Aditha to recuperate first. With these beings, I'll try to fight first. The Aditha should be able to eject later. Well, sir, please be careful. Several stellar and divine subordinates looked at Jiayan in surprise. They knew that Jiayan was not the kind of impulsive person. Since Jiayan himself had said that he wanted to tangle with this group of enemies, he must have his own reasons. Moreover, when Jiayan just broke out of the subspace, they all felt the fluctuation of his body that had just been promoted to a small level. Hey, didn't you say this is a God King level creature? Why are the fluctuations on his body just like those of a god? I feel it too, and although he has reached the peak of the gods, it is obvious that he has just been promoted. Could it be that when he fought with the trash of the commercial star before, he still did not have the strength to reach the peak of the gods? The two god kings were shocked for a while after sensing Jiayan's strength. It's not that Jiayan is too strong, but that Jiayan is too weak. This creature looks like a giant mouth needle. According to the information, it is a strong man who has reached the level of God King. But now they clearly feel that the other person is just a person who has reached the primary level of a star, that is, it's just a god-level existence. Never mind him, maybe that commercial star trash is already so weak that he can't even defeat the god level, and even if he can fight beyond the level, our two god kings here are not weak among the god kings, and they will still be afraid. Him. Just catch him together. Yes, it seems that this guy has more secrets than the group of guys we wanted to catch just now. As long as we catch him, we will probably get more credit. Grasp. After thinking for a while, the two god kings rushed forward without any greeting or reply to Jiayan's words. You want to catch me too? What a big taste. Jiayan knew what they were thinking and just sneered. Then, everyone felt that the giant mosquito floating in the starry sky had an unbelievable terrifying ripple force erupting from the surface of its body. Boom! Earth-shaking power erupted from Jiayan's body. To a certain extent, his power is not even induced by the power within his own body, but by borrowing the power of the subspace behind him. At the moment of the sudden wavering, the two rushing god kings were of course the first to bear the brunt and were washed away by the power of the ripples. Buzz buzz. The power of ripples and countless small subspace attacks forced the two god kings to stop temporarily. The group of god-level subordinates behind them were completely entangled by the tiny distortions in the space for an instant, unable to move. Such a terrifying ripple power? What is this? Is this the ripple power that the gods of the commercial star gave us in the information? How could it be so powerful? The God King of the commercial star said that he could barely destroy the ripple with one blow, but the two of us can't destroy it now. The two God Kings burst out with power and struck hard at the ripples in front of them. Buzz. Even though Ripple looks extremely weak, in fact, under the attack of the two God Kings, there was an echo like a bell for an instant, and then the entire Ripple distorted for a moment, as if it was about to burst, but it didn't look like it was shattered. It twisted and twisted for less than a second, but it still survived tenaciously. One by one, it emanated from Jia Yan's body. This, we joined forces, but we didn't break through these ripples. Old rival, are you holding back your strength? Asshole, why did I hold back my strength? It's not because you were afraid that you would kill him with one blow and you wouldn't get any credit, so you held back. Neither do I. This guy is weird and very strong. The two God Kings knew after ventilating that the creature in front of them, which was suspected to be a star-level elementary level, was only equivalent to the top existence of gods among their gods. It was so terrifying that even the attacks of their two God Kings could not break through his creature. The strange and incomparable power of ripples. I discovered his weakness. Look, when he uses the power of this ripple, he can't move. Let's go forward and attack. Yes, close attack. The two God Kings were considered to be extremely experienced in combat. When they saw that the creature that released waves of waves did not move in mid-air, nor did it take advantage of the upper hand to step forward to attack, they suddenly realized that Jia Yan's ripple attack was his biggest weakness. However, this is the biggest weakness, or should I call it the weakness of the past? Haha, you two were able to discover the weakness of my move. It is very powerful. It is worthy of the title of God King. But this weakness of mine has existed for a long time. Do you think I haven't even made any improvements? Jia Yan looked at the two attacking God Kings and smiled slightly. Now, give me. Come die. Please remember the first domain name of this book. VIP Chinese. Mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1447. Puff puff. A shocking momentum suddenly erupted from the body of Jia Yan, the giant mosquito. Now Jia Yan's momentum and strength have reached an unprecedented level. Sir, you have indeed crossed that threshold and become a first-level peak existence of a star. In the subspace behind Jia Yan, the subordinates of Jia Yan's team who escaped into the Edisha one by one sighed involuntarily. Jia Yan's strength improved too quickly. As the first person to come into contact with Jia Yan, Luo Longxi had talked to them more than once about the strange scene when she first came into contact with Jia Yan. That was when she first met Jia Yan. Jia Yan seemed to have just improved his strength, that is, he had just reached the middle stage of the constant level. And just how long has passed, it has actually reached the top again. This is definitely not an ordinary preliminary internal improvement among other levels. This is the initial level of improvement to a star. You must know that although they all belong to the elementary level, if they are placed on the side of gods, they are equivalent to mid-level gods, which is far from the top-level gods. More than that, my lord's strength is definitely not just as simple as advancing. As an evolved beast, his strength will definitely improve greatly in other aspects as he advances. Tianyi Alang, as an attribute who believed in Jia Yan's strength, had a very deep understanding of Jia Yan's combat effectiveness at this time. That is, every time Jia Yan improved, it would be accompanied by great progress elsewhere. Next, we will see what progress you have made in other aspects. As soon as the heavenly cowherd's brainwave power finished speaking, Jia Yan, who was facing the two God Kings, finally showed another terrifying strength he had improved after this promotion. Boom! The strength that had been suppressing the explosion just now finally exploded. It turned out that Jia Yan, who had been unable to move under the ripple fighting method, was shaken by the terrifying pressure around his body under this power, causing him to move. But this movement is just a front foot. But the movement of this front foot seems to be linked to the subspace behind him. This can be said to be the power of the universe. The terrifying pressure, like a tide, pressed against the two god kings who were attacking. What kind of pressure is this? His sense of strength is actually stronger than that of ordinary god kings. The two attacking god kings, at this moment, their own bodies were completely suppressed by the sudden and terrifying pressure. Even though they couldn't stop, they still violently attacked where Jia Yan was. They also knew that this must be an extremely powerful killing move by Jia Yan. They were not willing to fight Jia Yan head-on at this juncture. They had to at least avoid this most terrifying blow and then face the enemy from the side. It's a pity, how can Jia Yan give them a chance? Even if the power of the ripples could not completely suppress them, it was completely condensed at this moment. Even if the suppression effect was only for a short moment, it still caused the two huge god kings who were about to attack Jia Yan to be sent away. Arriving in front of Jia Yan, the raised forefoot seemed to have countless June powers, and it struck the surface of the body of a god king fiercely. And the god king also knew that this must be a display of Jia Yan's extremely shocking combat power. Since he could not resist, he had no choice but to use all his strength to resist. The same goes for the god king on the other side. He used all his strength because a deep sense of fear told him that even if Jia Yan attacked first, it was his old friend next to him, but next, it would definitely be his turn. It's his turn. As expected, the first resisting god had just used all his strength to block Jia Yan's earth-shattering blow, but his strength was actually unable to resist at all. Puff! This foot strike contained unknown power, and was filled with a sense of distortion between sublines. Jia Yan seemed to have transformed into the subspace itself. In other words, what they were facing was a joint attack from a large area of subspace around them. The strength level of this attack is at least equivalent to that of an extremely powerful god king. So after a loud noise that could not be isolated even in the silent vacuum, the god king was actually pierced through the body by a blow. The front foot was even like an invincible sharp dagger when it cut into the god king's body. Without stopping at all, it instantly cut his body and cut it into two pieces. What? On the other side, another god king watched the scene helplessly, almost unable to believe his eyes. As two god kings with almost similar strength, they have always been rivals. No one knows better than him. What level of power did the god king who was killed by Jia Yan in one blow possess? Such a god king, who was almost as powerful as him, was actually killed by Jia Yan, a mere god-level being, with one blow in an instant? What kind of innate strength is this, and what level of strength is this god? He was terrified, thinking that something had gone wrong in the world. The gods could actually kill a god king with one blow, even a god king who was about to reach the title of god king. This made him understand the world so much. But Jia Yan didn't let his shock last too long. The front leg that cut off a god king and even made it impossible for him to self-destruct the god crystal had greatly lost its power after killing it. However, it still turned in a circle and aimed at the other end. The remaining god king enemy, who was shocked, suddenly slashed at him. Originally the main means of attack was the stabbing front foot, but now it seems to have become a sharp sword, sharp for cutting. And that extremely shocking sense of threat caused the god king's expression to change drastically in an instant, and he felt that his life and death were in crisis. Block it? I don't believe it. You, a guy who is equivalent to a god, can unleash an attack that can kill me after killing a god king. At this moment, the god king had no choice but to defend himself. Because even if he wanted to hide, the power of the ripples was like a bone-attached maggot following him all the way, constantly fixing him to Jia Yan's side. Even if he thought that as long as he was given a second or two, the ripple power would be able to break through, Jia Yan was able to kill him several times in such a short period of time. So he can't put his main effort into getting rid of it. He suddenly wanted to use the power of his divine kingdom. You must know that the divine kingdom of a god king is definitely more powerful than any other god. Each of them will have a unique role, even to the level of a god emperor. Every divine kingdom of the divine emperor will be different, and even have unique functions. His divine kingdom is not that powerful now, but it is definitely not something that ordinary gods can possess. Kingdom of God, open it for me. Just open it and see how he kills me with one blow. This God King instantly unleashed all the power of the kingdom of God that he could. He even thought at this moment that Jia Yan's strength was that although he killed his old opponent with that blow, his strength was definitely greatly lost and he would definitely be able to resist. After resisting, he can directly capture Jia Yan, who has lost a huge amount of power. By then, this terrifying outsider will not only have the secret to possess the power of a god, but even the unique ripple power he now possesses. It will be an ability that is extremely shocking to the outside world. Then his contribution would be too great. His sweet dreams began to include planning on how to obtain a higher status in the future, and even get more promotion opportunities as a result, and become a strong man who is proud of the others. Puff. The front foot of the attack had actually arrived before the power of the kingdom of God erupted. The front foot pierced his body, causing the God King, who was still dreaming, to be horrified and just recovered. Impossible. How come your strength has not declined, but you can still maintain this kind of attack? His horrified voice resounded shrilly throughout the universe. But this voice also became his last swan song. Because, Jia Yan's eyes without any mercy, without any emotion, slowly turned his front feet into a giant blade, and used the beast that was still dreaming just now to catch Jia Yan's spirit. King creature, cut in two with one knife. Not long after, the body of this god king creature was severely cut into two pieces, and the vibrating power of Jia Yan's front feet completely dissipated. It's not that I haven't declined. After all, who can sustain such a terrifying attack power? However, my endurance will be stronger than ordinary creatures, because I am an evolved beast. Jia Yan smiled slightly. Although he lost most of his combat effectiveness, the power of the ripples was still reverberating in the vacuum of the universe. Under the power of such ripples, on one side, several divine beings who had completely witnessed the death of these two god kings at the hands of a star-level powerhouse tried their best to open their eyes. They couldn't believe that such a scene would happen before their eyes. As gods, they know how terrifying their bosses are. And Jia Yan, a mere star-level expert of the same level as them, could actually kill two god kings with just one blow? To them, this scene was like seeing something in a dream. Of course, this is not a dream. When Jia Yan's eyes turned to the dozens of gods who had lost the ability to move, each of these dozens of gods suddenly felt shocked. They looked at each other and then laughed miserably. They knew that Jia Yan, a being who could kill even their leader, had no backhand power at all. Therefore, instead of being killed by Jia Yan and taking their divine crystals, it would be simpler to explode the divine crystals yourself. At least the divine crystals would not be used indiscriminately by this evil outsider. So next, a series of shocking self-destruction sounds exploded in this asteroid belt. Boom boom boom. The power of self-destruction, which reached 10 times in succession, caused Jia Yan, who controlled them, to shake for a moment. If they, a group of gods, existed and carefully felt Jia Yan's current state, they probably would not have self-destruct, but would have risen up to resist. Because they can definitely see that Jia Yan's current state is extremely bad, and even the ripple power that controls them is extremely weak. As long as they struggle with all their strength, they might actually be able to break free. Maybe. Only the divine creature who finally self-destruct saw this at the moment when he was about to self-destruct, but it was already too late. With a loud bang, he was not willing to be defeated, and he blew himself up and died with extreme resentment. He wanted to say something to Jia Yan, but unfortunately, it was impossible for him to say anything. Maybe this god wanted to say something like God Emperor, but he didn't know. Even if he said it, Jia Yan and others wouldn't be particularly frightened. Because the Etissa has reached the edge of successful energy conversion and is almost ready to eject. My lord, how are you? Just when Jia Yan had just killed this group of god kings and gods, several of his subordinates in the subspace flew out of the Etissa and came to Jia Yan's side through the distortion activated by the Etissa. At this moment, Jia Yan's body was not as majestic as he had just shown, but was swaying, and the power of the ripples disappeared instantly. However, Jia Yan still showed no signs of weakness in front of his subordinates. It's okay, I just overdrawed a little strength. Don't worry. I am just at the end of my promotion. The extra strength I use is equivalent to using up the benefits of promotion. And I will reply after a while. Came here. Jia Yan shook his head, stopped a group of subordinates, and continued to approach his thoughts. As for Jia Yan, he didn't trust anyone, not even this group of subordinates, or in other words, not enough to trust him to the point of life and death. So the more he feels weak, the more vigilant he has to be. And a group of subordinates didn't know if they understood Jia Yan's thoughts, so none of them got close to him. Jia Yan stood in the starry sky and directed the cowherd and several other subordinates who were not seriously injured to collect the divine crystals from the two god kings, while he stayed in the starry sky and recovered silently. As he said, his strength was overused at this moment, but he was still in the welfare period of promotion, which meant that as long as he took a good rest, he could recover quickly. Fortunately, that move actually had a miraculous effect, and the effect was even greater than I imagined. Jia Yan recalled what happened just now, and felt deeply happy that he had won by chance. This time in retreat, he was not just as simple as swallowing the divine crystal, but because he was in the subspace, he continued to release his own domain, and actually within the cultivation, he slowly gained a deeper understanding of the subspace. Profound, and the previous power of ripples became the bridge for him to communicate with subspace. After such communication, he found that he could actually borrow a certain amount of subdimensional power from the outside world. And this is the reason why Jia Yan killed two god kings with one blow. Very good, this way I will have a new trump card in the future. Jia Yan was thinking this secretly. Not good. Please remember the first domain name of this book. VIP Chinese. Mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1448. When Jia Yan was thinking about his new skills, suddenly, Tianyi Alang, who was responsible for collecting the divine crystals, screamed in shock after receiving an alarm from a certain technological item placed on his body. Tianyi Alang, what's wrong? Jia Yan's expression condensed, and he quickly flew to Tianyi Alang's side, ready to ask something. Run away, quickly. There is a wave that far exceeds the strength of the two god kings just now, and it is coming towards us quickly. This speed is so terrifying. Sir, please let the Etissa start ejecting. Jia Yan paused for a moment, then glanced at the small device placed outside Tianyi Alang's body. This is an alarm system they installed outside the starry sky, and it uses quantum transmission to transmit images hundreds of millions of kilometers away to here with almost no delay. Sure enough, a stream of light had already passed through the shooting screen and flew towards them. Looking at the speed, it was not even an ordinary battleship. After careful analysis, Jia Yan even thought that this huge body of 10 kilometers was simply a living thing. A creature that flies faster than ordinary battleships? Definitely not the God King. Not even a god. But a God Emperor? Thinking of this speculation, even Jia Yan's heart skipped a beat. To know that the God Emperor exists, even he does not dare to face it at all. he is even thinking that even if he has improved his strength and reached the current peak level of the primary star, he still will not be the God Emperor. The enemy with one blow. Escape. Jia Yan didn't hesitate at all, and instantly used the power of his brain waves to coerce Tianyi Alang, as well as several subordinates who came to take care of him. In an instant, he used a certain amount of strength that he quickly recovered to completely explode and enter the subspace. And just when he was about to enter the subspace, Jia Yan had already felt that in the starry sky outside, there was already an extremely shocking momentum, approaching quickly from far to near. So fast, a little faster than the speed I move in subspace. Is this the God Emperor? It's scary, run away. Jia Yan's heart skipped a beat and he quickly ordered Aidisha. Master, master, but there's still a little bit left. Eject, even if it can only bounce a little distance, otherwise we will be totally ruined. The beetles and other creatures on the side also felt the terrifying aura coming from the outside world, and their faces changed wildly. The Edissa barely ejected. Compared with the possible losses and lives, any fool would know which one to choose. Okay, I'll play. Edissa read the sentence without tears. Then the whole Edissa was shocked. The Edissa, which had just closed its cabins, suddenly activated its maximum power. At the same time, a shocking momentum came quickly, taking advantage of the space and completely turning the surrounding space into chaos. The way he traveled also distorted space, but he was definitely not a subspace talented person. After all, when a powerful being reaches a powerful level, he must consider the way his body travels in the universe. There are not many ways for creatures to choose, including space, gravitational waves, etc. Compared with solutions such as gravitational waves and time, which are very restrictive, space is of course the most popular method chosen by everyone. Therefore, this being uses a method of distorting space, but it does not mean that he can enter the subspace like his own home like Jia Yan. But his speed is still due to his own strength, which is much faster than Jia Yan. But under such circumstances, his expression changed slightly while he was in progress. You're actually going to run away? Let's see how you run away. Accelerate. This huge creature with a terrifying level was actually able to speed up in the twisted space. A silent sound erupted in the space. The creature seemed to be suddenly pushed by the space, and its speed suddenly increased again. Adisha, hurry up, that guy has actually increased his speed again. Here, Jia Yan looked anxiously at the flames of the Edisha's engine. He didn't think that in the presence of a god emperor, the Edisha could escape if it was in the subspace. At least it had to start ejecting, otherwise it would be easily captured by the opponent in the subspace. Facing a divine emperor, Jia Yan knew that he was still powerless. 10,000 kilometers. 9,000 kilometers. 8,000 kilometers. 5,000 kilometers. You can't escape. 5,000 kilometers away, that terrifying giant creature was able to use its brainwave power to affect the subspace here. Puff. Beside Jia Yan, the cowherd and other creatures suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood. Jia Yan also felt Mo Da's pressure, and his expression changed again and again in an instant. The steel body on the surface of the Edissa also made a loud noise, as if it was trying to suppress this invisible force so that it could not move. Asshole, get out of here. Jia Yan struggled to his feet in an instant. For him, he has encountered too many strong men. Even if this is the first time he has encountered a high-level star-level existence. But before that, he had even encountered a terrifying creature that had reached the galaxy level. Although that time was more powerless than now, it at least meant that Jia Yan would not easily treat a creature whose life level was higher than his own. The tall being simply bowed his head. Buzz. A shocking ripple power followed Jia Yan's body, ruthlessly rejecting the incoming brainwave power. All the living creatures in the Aditha suddenly regained their ability to move. However, in front of this suspected God Emperor, they were already struck by a brainwave force, which caused their already injured bodies to become even more. To add insult to injury, everyone was unable to move. Jia Yan's ripple power is not just for helping his subordinates. More importantly, the twisted and deformed steel of the Edisha was stopped in an instant, and the boiler that was almost destroyed was suddenly bounced back by the power of the incoming force that Jia Yan was protecting. Huh? What, does it actually have such weird power? No wonder, without such power, how could it be possible to defeat my subordinate and my old friend's subordinates of the God King? The approaching creature was slightly startled at first, and then was not too moved by Jia Yan's ability to exert such power. As a God Emperor level being, he would certainly not be surprised when a weak person burst out with a slightly stronger power than an ordinary weak person. After all, he is the God Emperor, a powerful man who stands tall and indomitable in this great realm of gods. They have nothing to fear except the God Emperor. Puff. The God Emperor, in an instant, released another shocking brainwave power. Is there new power coming? Jia Yan was in the Aditha, and for a moment he noticed the approaching master again, and once again increased the power of the attack. The huge pressure made his whole body sway. But he still managed to hold on. Because Jia Yan knew that this was a matter of life and death. If he was suppressed by the opponent in one move, everyone in their battleship would be doomed. Of course, Jia Yan still values his own life the most, so at this moment, he will never let the other party attack the Edisha. All chances of escape are on the Edisha. Okay. I'll play. The Edisha has just completed the final channeling of energy. Suddenly, in front of the terrifying giant creature, which was about to enter a subspace within 100 kilometers and could be directly attacked, the huge aircraft actually moved at once. Want to move? Huh. The approaching creature first snorted in disdain and prepared to increase its power instantly. But his expression immediately changed. Because in his opinion, the huge battleship moved so much in an instant that even his confinement felt a little too much. And this feeling became stronger and stronger, and the entire battleship quickly escaped from his confinement and rushed into the depths of subspace. Why does this aircraft have such a terrible escape ability? Stop right there. The terrifying creature was furious and blasted its brainwave power deep into the subspace of the deep tunnel. But after the entire subspace was destroyed by his bombardment, he saw that the depths of the twisted subspace were at least within the range that he could attack. There was no response, and a warship twice the size of this creature fled into the depths of subspace that even he could not blast into. Asshole! Seeing that the meat in his mouth was gone again, this huge creature almost roared in the universe. Even in this cosmic space, it didn't take long for another existence that was as terrifying as this creature to come quickly. The two had an annoyed conversation here, and then they had no choice but to return to their respective homes. Not long after, a piece of shocking news quickly spread from this star field to the surrounding areas. The content of this news is so shocking. You must know that these two beings who have reached the level of God Emperor suddenly announced the arrest of a group of bandits. For the first time, there are two God Emperors, and they are promoting that they have been patronized by a group of thieves. They even drew portraits of these thieves and passed their portraits everywhere. It will probably not take long. Even the lands ruled by several other God Emperors will be filled with portraits of these creatures. Don't underestimate the practical effects of using paintings, or photos, in the universe. After all, the more powerful a strong man is, the bigger he will usually be. Under such circumstances, it will be very difficult for them to hide their appearance. That's not to say that there is no way, but in this situation, in that case, it will be a lot of trouble for them to act. However, those God Emperors obviously did not consider that one of the creatures they wanted actually had such a thing as a clone. Of course, it's not the time for the clone to appear yet. In the subspace, a group of star-level creatures and divine beings were all suffering from grief, and they were all helplessly injured and were being healed in the Aditha. "Sir, our strength has dropped to freezing point. It is estimated that we will not be able to fight with all our strength for a long time." Luo Longxi smiled bitterly and raised her head, facing Jia Yandao, who was also huddled together and practicing beside them. "I know that there is no need for you to fight for the time being, and don't worry. I recently discovered that our yin and yang system has a method that can quickly repair biological injuries. Your injuries will definitely be healed faster than you expected. Lots of restoration." Jia Yan nodded and spoke to this group of worried subordinates. In fact, Jia Yan was right. Just like what he said, he had just developed a very effective healing method for yin and yang creatures like them. For Jia Yan, it was true that this method could speed up the healing process, but with the physique of his own evolved beast, this solution was unnecessary. However, he thought about it and thought that a group of his subordinates could definitely use this method to heal their injuries. His subordinates were seriously injured, but his own trauma was not as serious as others imagined. He is an evolved beast, and his physique at this time has become more and more obvious in the stellar level, highlighting his advantages. The more advanced the evolved beasts are, the more terrifying they become. This is the information that several senior evolved beasts have taught the entire starfield creatures around the Orion Arm. And Jia Yan will be no exception. So he didn't suffer any injuries this time except for the loss of strength. "Huh? After I spent a lot of power, I actually absorbed the divine crystal. How can it be faster?" Jia Yan suddenly discovered that after using the power of promotion, his body could absorb divine crystals 3 times faster than before. This made Jia Yan couldn't help but be shocked. His absorption speed is extremely fast. Even if it reaches the star level now, it seems that it takes a day or two to absorb a divine crystal. But that is because the power in the divine crystal is too huge. If calculated according to the previous speed, at least now his energy absorption speed is more than 10 times faster than before. But now he actually discovered that after squandering his stellar power, he was still able to increase his absorption speed. This made Jia Yan overjoyed. And the divine crystal of this divine king. Finally, Jia Yan brought another important thing to him. The God King's divine crystal was originally something that was almost impossible for Jia Yan to absorb, because the power in it was too violent. Although it did not necessarily cause Jia Yan's practice to go crazy, it certainly had nothing to do with it. Benefit. It would be better to use ordinary divine crystals. But now that Jia Yan has discovered that his absorption is 3 times faster than usual, he has no hesitation anymore. Absorb it, I want to be stronger. He had just improved his strength to the peak of the primary level of a star. He should have enjoyed it for a while before thinking about improving. But he had just been promoted and hadn't been bragging for long when he met someone who he couldn't resist at all. This kind of thing was like catching a fly in soup. It was extremely disgusting. So Jia Yan decided that he would find another way to increase his strength. Anyway, he has a lot of resources now. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Buletin Yu. Chapter 1449. For Jia Yan, being promoted to the pinnacle of the primary stage of a star does not seem to have reached the level of mutation. So next, he will have to improve again. If he can reach the level of mutation, he will be promoted to the mid-level star. With stellar mid-level strength, even if you can't fight a god emperor, you still have a certain possibility of escaping. He was thinking about his own strength. If he reached the mid-level star level, judging from the fact that the evolutionary beast was in the star level, the more powerful characteristics it showed. At that time, he still couldn't compete with a person with the same strength as the high-level star level. In the battle with the God Emperor, there should be a slight chance of escape, right? Of course, just how powerful the God Emperor is can be seen from the fact that the previous God Emperor was able to use brainwave power from a long distance to shock a group of subordinates around him to spurt blood. Therefore, Jia Yan himself was not sure that after reaching the mid-level strength of a star, he would really be able to fight against a God Emperor. Of course, maybe the pursuing God Emperor is a powerful being among God Emperors. All this is unknown, but one thing is certain, that is, it is urgent for Jia Yan to improve his strength. No matter what, being stronger is better than being weak, right? Crystal of the God King. Jia Yan looked at the divine crystal in front of him calmly. This divine crystal is the divine crystal of one of the two divine kings that he personally killed before. It is also the highest level divine crystal in Jia Yan's hand and has the strongest energy sequence. The things of the God King are definitely different from the gods. He silently felt the divine crystal that was controlled by the power of brain waves and came to him. This divine crystal is extremely huge, more than 5 or 6 times larger than ordinary divine crystals. It is about the size of a tennis court and looks like a small line of interstellar matter. What a terrifying power, but this power seems to be much more stable than the divine crystal. Can I use it? Jia Yan tried his absorption power, and sure enough, this time he felt deep resistance. I don't believe it. With my devouring ability, can't I absorb the power inside you? Even your master was killed by me without the slightest resistance. What possibility do you have to resist? Jia Yan smiled coldly, and then a stream of condensation surged out of the surface of his body according to his personal will. These condensates have always been Jia Yan's trump card. No matter what level of energy items they are, they can be swallowed and turned into his own power. But this time, it was obvious that this huge God King crystal was much more terrifying than Jia Yan expected. What, is it digested so slowly? Jia Yan finally understood why the divine crystal was something in the divine system that he could not use to a great extent. Even his invincible liquid condensation power cannot easily swallow up the God King's crystal, let alone others. But it's not that it can't be swallowed. I can already feel that this divine King's crystal, more terrifying energy than the divine crystal, is slowly flowing into my body. Jia Yan was slightly happy. Although the speed was a little slower, the God King's crystal was the God King's crystal. After it was barely melted by the condensate and transferred into his body, he suddenly felt the power of his body. In the contact, it improved a bit. This efficiency is much higher than the spiritual crystal. And without this powerful medicine, how could it be possible to really improve my physical strength? Jia Yan was extremely happy because he felt that no matter how much he replenished the spiritual crystals, it would be difficult to reach the point where his strength would actually improve, and he would slowly improve. For star-level creatures, the key to improving their strength is actually the improvement of their own life essence. To put it bluntly, it is a leap forward in cell or biological level. Although the previous divine crystals were in huge quantities, they could slowly improve Jia Yan's strength. However, Jia Yan had felt that if he wanted to upgrade himself to the mid-level star, he might have used all the divine crystals in his hand. It's just barely achieved. Even this kind of improvement does not have much foundation, because the effect of the divine crystal is too low. When he reaches the mid-level star level, he still has to find a way to stabilize his strength. But this God King's crystal is different. The God King is essentially not on the same level as the gods. His life level is higher, so the divine crystals he contains are definitely one level higher than the divine crystals of the gods. So Jia Yan felt that he could fully utilize this kind of power. If he used the God King crystal to increase his strength, it would have much less effect than using the God crystal. After Jia Yan was happy for a while, he forced himself to relax and slowly entered a state of cultivation. Well, my strength has probably reached the peak of the primary level of a star now. I only need half of the God King divine crystal to reach the true peak state. At that time, using the other half and a complete God King crystal, We should have a chance to break through. I just don't know if there will be a mutation this time. Jia Yan was slightly looking forward to it. He knew that this time the Edissa reluctantly ejected again, and when it appeared next, it might not be too far away from the area where they escaped. Because the Edissa had no time to burst out all its power, so this time the ejection distance is definitely not far. Jia Yan was already somewhat prepared for the possible danger at that time. Therefore, he needs strength. Facing the possible pursuit of a god emperor, if he does not even have the mid-level strength of a star, his star-level team, which is finally somewhat impressive, will definitely suffer attrition or even be completely wiped out. Be careful and cultivate yourself. I will continue to improve my strength. Jia Yan said calmly to a group of subordinates around him. After listening to his words, all the subordinates were stunned, as if they had suffered a huge blow. What, sir, you want to be promoted? Didn't I just reach the top? Why can I be promoted again? This and this. Is this the so-called evolved beast? Such a heaven-defying talent. Just after being promoted, it can be promoted again. Oh my god. Each of his subordinates felt excited because Jia Yan had just been promoted and was able to kill two powerful god kings. However, the excitement did not last long. Jia Yan actually said again, to improve your strength. This shocked a group of subordinates. Totally shocking. How can ordinary creatures improve their strength so quickly, especially those at the stellar level? Each small level may take several years, even dozens, or even hundreds of years to develop. And Jia Yan? It's okay to have just upgraded a small level to the peak of the primary level of the star, but now he actually said that he wanted to improve. And if you want to improve, then stellar mid-level. This is definitely a huge improvement. Can it be achieved so easily? They were completely stunned and didn't reply for a long time. Jia Yan ignored them and entered a state of cultivation. Soon, the subordinates looked at each other one by one. Although there was no dialogue, there was a hint of madness in their eyes. Because if they don't work hard, let alone follow the leader's footsteps, maybe it won't be long before Jia Yan's strength reaches a level where they can't help. What can they do when they are introduced? He will definitely become a marginalized person. If the master is willing to recruit subordinates, with his future strength, he will definitely be able to find someone stronger than them. Therefore, this pressure made a group of subordinates become ruthless. Today, I must understand the primary rules of the yin-yang system, sir. Now I have discovered that the yin-yang system, sir. Even if you need to comprehend two laws to comprehend it, you can actually follow the clear comprehension method given by your majesty. Work harder, just a little bit. It's no slower than our ordinary cultivation methods, it's even much faster. Even as long as we work together to improve the system, the cultivation speed in the future may be faster than the cosmic system and the divine system. They were all furious. Especially seeing that Jia Yan's strength was about to improve again, the pressure in his heart increased greatly, and he became more motivated. The entire Edissa was silent. Everyone is like Jia Yan and has fallen into a long-term state of cultivation. Even those who have not practiced will gather together to discuss ways to improve the yin and yang system. It has to be said that even if Jia Yan didn't explain anything more to them, these star-level experts are indeed star-level existences. Their talents are 1 in a million, so after understanding yin and yang, after learning a little bit about the core of the system, we have been able to make more and deeper understandings. In some places, they even have more experience than Jia Yan. After all, their cultivation age is much longer than that of Jia Yan. Next, the ejection continued. A group of subordinates would turn their heads to look in the direction of Jia Yan from time to time. Jia Yan was slowly devouring the God King's crystal. But within his body, that faint balancing power was slowly emerging. I see. Does the Lord already have two powers in his body, or has he cultivated two powers on his own? No, there are two completely different powers in his body. They are not the same concept as our cultivation of the power of gods and stellar powerhouses. This is no longer an ordinary yin and yang with different systems. It is an absolute polarity. Yin and yang, it turns out that not only are their systems different, but their essences are actually different. This kind of power, hey, why do I still feel that I can realize something from the feeling of the adult's energy? Come on, try it. Several subordinates suddenly felt that they could feel something from Jia Yan, who was practicing. Although Jia Yan is now in his own unique cabin, he does not deliberately conceal his momentum, so although a group of subordinates cannot see Jia Yan's devouring appearance, they still feel that he is the surge of power within the body. And this sense of power even made them all look ecstatic. Because there were many things they couldn't understand in the yin and yang system, but after realizing this power, they suddenly became enlightened. My God, what I can't figure out can be solved like this. This is no longer the same level of yin and yang as us, but matter and antimatter. Hey, yes, isn't this the feeling of matter and antimatter? Lord Jia Yan, he actually has antimatter in his body, my God. When several subordinates were practicing with Jia Yan, they gained more and more insights, especially about Jia Yan's power level. The more they learned about Jia Yan, the more they felt towards Jia Yan. No one has anything. There is no doubt about the yin and yang system developed by Jia Yan. There was a little noise before, but now that they saw Jia Yan alive and almost reaching the extreme effect, they shut up. If we can do this, sir, and realize the two poles of ourselves, not with two systems, but with positive and antimatter, our strength will be. No wonder you are able to possess that weird ripple power. It's because the yin and yang in his body are matter and antimatter. The subordinates have gained more and more understanding of Jia Yan's cultivation, and this understanding has also increased their cultivation speed. Jia Yan was in the process of slowly being devoured and promoted. He had no idea that he was exuding a trace of promotion power and actually brought a group of his subordinates a huge help. Of course, even if he knew, he wouldn't be unhappy. He is also worried about a similar problem. His strength is still improving rapidly. If a group of subordinates cannot catch up quickly, he will probably end up alone in the future. Because my subordinates are not strong enough. In the current situation, although it is impossible for a group of subordinates to improve their strength as quickly as Jia Yan, there are already a few of them who have reached the advanced level of the primary level of stars, although they have long been stuck. After using Jia Yan's system, maybe he can be promoted to the mid-level star in a while. Is really not a dream. By then, Jia Yan will probably be an intermediate star, and they will be able to help a lot. Of course, today's Jia Yan doesn't have so many empty tubes. He was still being devoured. Click click click. A little bit of fluctuation kept ringing in Jia Yan's ears. Very good, my condensation has been able to slowly speed up the swallowing process. Jia Yan felt that his peak strength was slowly increasing, reaching the ultimate limit that his body could bear. What I thought was indeed correct. This promotion must be mutated. Otherwise, with my current body, I will definitely not be able to withstand the strength of the mid-level star. Jia Yan felt his body, and condensation began to be released quickly. He was actually a little worried about whether his body could sustain another mutation. But looking at the pile of divine crystals around him, as well as some important supplies that he had already stored in the Edisha, he finally felt relieved. There is nothing to worry about. I have prepared all of this. The only surprise is that the time of mutation is a little earlier than I expected. But in life, it is impossible to do everything according to your own ideas. Since the situation does not allow me to slowly improve, then let's break through. Puff. Following Jia Yan's decision, the condensation from his body suddenly accelerated by more than 10 times. Soon, streams of condensation enveloped him into a huge mountain of condensation. The surrounding materials were also quickly swallowed up. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1450. Jia Yan was somewhat unprepared for this promotion. But many times, nothing can go your way just by slowly preparing it. If Jia Yan had to wait slowly for a breakthrough opportunity and wait for his promotion, it might have been months or even years. Therefore, the current pressure is also a good thing to speed up his improvement. Of course, this good thing would become a bad thing if his promotion failed. But will Jia Yan fail? I really can't say for sure. Pain. Jia Yan, who had just been quickly wrapped in the condensation, felt a trace of pain in the condensation. For Jia Yan, his strength has reached the star level, so if he wants to mutate at this level of strength, the level of pain is really beyond the imagination of others. The waves of pain caused Jia Yan's current body to feel waves of great pain. The condensate seemed to ignore Jia Yan's thoughts at all, but was secreted rapidly, as if it was breaking down Jia Yan's body. In fact, it is also decomposed. Puff puff. Even the extremely terrifying hard-evolved beast body was decomposed by the condensation at this moment, as if it had encountered some natural enemy. Jia Yan could feel that his body was completely decomposed piece by piece, turning into fine powder piece by piece. But he had to observe all of this very clearly, otherwise all of this might stop because of his loss of consciousness, and that would be the moment of his immediate death. Therefore, the pain was extremely great, but Jia Yan could not divert his attention, and had to use liquid condensation from time to time to point out the mistakes. Even if this goes wrong, not much. The waves of fluctuations that erupted from his body were quickly felt by the subordinates around him, and their expressions were even more surprised, because Jia Yan's fluctuations almost explained what he had said before, but his subordinates didn't care. I understand, even if I don't understand the place I can't get into. In fact, this is like a person trying to explain to another person how his arm moves. The person being explained does not have his own arms, so it is absolutely impossible to understand the movement of his arms. But now Jia Yan released a trace of breakthrough wave, which seemed to make a group of subordinates suddenly feel that they had a vague arm. Combined with the words Jia Yan once explained, they quickly understood a lot about the things they couldn't understand. Of course, compared to Jia Yan himself, their understanding is still very different. However, through such a great opportunity, their yin and yang cultivation can enter a new world faster. Waves of fluctuations continued to come out, and not long after, Jia Yan's painful feeling slowly disappeared. His consciousness slowly disappeared. Of course, out of his personal sense of crisis, even though Jia Yan now trusted his subordinates, he still gave the order to Edisha. If there are any subordinates who act rashly, Edisha will instantly cause the subordinates' control of the Edisha to break away from the main body of the Edisha. It's not that this kind of thing can't be done, it just requires preparation in advance. And now Jia Yan has said that the Edisha is at least prepared. If something goes wrong, the reaction will definitely not be that of a stellar powerhouse. How much slower is the attack speed? And outside is the extremely deep space. Not to mention other subordinates, even if Jia Yan goes out by himself, he will probably be twisted and devoured until no bones are left, so whoever is thrown out means absolute death. Of course, Jia Yan was paranoid. In fact, when he turned into a cocoon-like thing, none of his subordinates showed any signs of taking action. Next he lost consciousness. In the Aditha, all the subordinates lost that wonderful feeling after Jia Yan lost consciousness. How is the Lord? Why can't I feel his consciousness? Could it be? Don't worry, there must be nothing wrong with him. Let's ask Edisha. Several subordinates were about to ask Edisha, but the little light and shadow mosquito jumped out on its own. "Don't worry, the Lord is fine," he said. "Okay, since the adults are fine, we just have to wait." Several subordinates had no doubts about Edisha's words. When they first knew that Jia Yan, the little light and shadow brain in the battleship, actually had intelligence and emotions that were no lower than those of ordinary creatures, they knowing that this is Ji now who is extremely loyal to Jia Yan, it is impossible to deceive them on this point. Of course, even if it was a lie, it was definitely an order given by the master himself, and they would rather believe it. Everyone knows that this is an extremely important time for Jia Yan, and it is also the time when Jia Yan is at his weakest. Judging from Jia Yan's way of doing things, it is impossible for him to not have even a little backup. This group of subordinates also vaguely understood that Jia Yan's backhand was this little light and shadow mosquito in front of him. There is an extremely deep subspace around them. Whatever this little light mosquito wants to do, throwing them into the space will mean their death. So they didn't dare to be wary of Adisa at all. Just wait. The master will be released soon. By then, his strength will definitely exceed your imagination. The master is an evolved beast after all. The appearance of one can shake the world. Aditha is of course extremely confident in Jia Yan's strength, and as an evolved beast, she has even more confidence in Jia Yan. Yes, your strength will definitely improve greatly after you come out of seclusion, but we have also gained a lot. The insights gained from you have made me feel that my basic strength has been loosened to a certain extent. I have mine too. I guess it won't be long before I can hit the God King. No, it's the middle level opportunity of the yin and yang system stars. Several subordinates still don't know how Jia Yan plans to distinguish the strength of their yin-yang creatures, so they don't know how to express their own strength. In fact, Jia Yan also had a headache before going into retreat. If he wants to become a system, he must be different from several systems such as the cosmic powerhouse and the gods. He must give the level information of his system, but he actually does not have much different opinions on the current system level division. Even if they are separated, the names will just change. As a result, the self-proclaimed strength of the subordinates has become more complicated. For example, a star-level powerhouse claims to be a star-level powerhouse, while a powerhouse from the spiritual side still claims to be a god. But in fact, their bodies are slowly balancing the two powers. Especially after realizing Jia Yan's promotion power this time, the two powers in their bodies will eventually gradually balance, that is, they will become the same. At that time, if you still call yourself such a random person, wouldn't it be a mess? But this is already a side matter, and we have to wait and think about it after Jia Yan is promoted. In the Aditha, all the living beings are still practicing continuously. Time passed slowly, and the cocoon-like existence wrapped by Jia Yan gradually became more and more solid. No one knows what happened to the creatures inside. But in the beginning, when there was no sense of life at all, as time passed day by day, one day, Luo Longxi and other subordinates suddenly realized that in the space where Jia Yan was, there was suddenly a tiny heart beating sound. This is. Several people looked at each other. It's not like they haven't heard Jia Yan's heartbeat. In fact, after reaching the star, they can almost see through other creatures at a glance, especially their hearts. The hearts of every powerful person are extremely powerful. Sometimes the heartbeat can be loud enough to shake the sky. Jia Yan's previous heartbeat was extremely powerful, but it was far less terrifying than this new heart. Sir, was your heart actually rebuilt during your promotion? What is going on? Are ordinary strong men's bodies change gradually as they become stronger? Sir, did they actually change in an instant? Several subordinates were confused. They had no idea that the real secret of the Jinhua beast was that with repeated mutations, it could not only improve its strength but also its size in a short period of time. Extremely amazing changes. However, after sensing that there was a sense of life in Jia Yan's space, the subordinates were relieved. Even if they don't know yet how Jia Yan will improve his strength. But they just need to know that this is still their leader, the one who has led them to many victories and even taught them the yin and yang system. No matter what Jia Yan will become next, they will follow him firmly. Puff puff. The sound of the heart beating became louder and louder. It even affected a group of subordinates who were practicing. After being helpless, Etisha had no choice but to build a unique room to isolate Jia Yan's sound under a vacuum. This way, the impact was less, but part of the shocking momentum still leaked out. Just this little bit made Luo Longxi and other star-level beings who were practicing feel frightened, and their cultivation process was interrupted every time. Fortunately, the speed of their cultivation is also not slow. Because of Jia Yan's influence during the breakthrough, their strength has been improving rapidly. Haha, another force has reached the next level. Suddenly, a star-level creature stood up one day laughing. You're already slow, okay. I reached the second level the day before yesterday. Now I'm sprinting towards the intermediate level. The heavenly cowherd sneered on one side. Of course it was a joking sneer. Hey, can't you make me happy for a while? The subordinate who was just about to show off was struck by the cowherd, and immediately lost the motivation to show off, and continued to crawl down helplessly. Our star-level powerhouses generally advance much faster than their original gods. Even though they were faster than us at the beginning, they were seriously injured last time, and their late-stage god system, their potential is insufficient, so the strength they cultivate with us is at best equivalent to the peak of the heaven level. Several star-level creatures looked at each other, and they all felt a sense of contention that the star-level creatures could surpass the four divine beings. Although there was one more person on the astral level side of both sides before, and even Jia Yan was considered to be on the astral level side, in several battles, the contribution of the gods was extremely great, at least compared to the other attributes. It's much bigger down there. For example, the spirit gods' joint fighting methods, as well as various intelligences, etc., made a group of star-level experts, even if their strength was not weaker than them, still seemed to be overwhelmed. Now that their speed of improvement has finally completely suppressed the subordinates of the gods, they are naturally happy. A few stinky men even say they don't have a sense of system, but they don't care about it at all. Here, several female gods could not help but snort when they saw the excitement over there, the sheep-headed female god. Of course, she didn't say it directly, but let several sisters hear it. Well, actually, my husband is good. After all, he even accepts me. There is no prejudice. It is other people who are prejudiced. The female god of the Scorpion clan, after some hesitation, still said so. It's the same. If he hadn't been with you, he would have been like that. The sheep-headed god felt depressed for a while. Can't we improve faster? In other words, Master Jia Yan's system is also biased against our gods, and the cultivation is very slow. Silence. Luo Longxi's voice sounded at this moment. How is your system, don't you have any idea? There is no prejudice. It's just that our talents are a little bit inferior. What's more, we are seriously injured. Is it possible? You haven't even noticed that our injuries have improved a lot in such a short period of time. In the past, it would have taken several years to heal. This is definitely the result of the adult system. Don't you know this? If you do this in the future, please don't say it again, otherwise I will be really angry. Faced with Relancy's tone of voice, the female goat god also knew that she had made a mistake, and she quickly apologized. I'm sorry, I'm just a little angry, otherwise I wouldn't have said such words. In fact, I don't know that we are extremely lucky to be able to learn the adult system. Our current cultivation speed is much faster than before. It also exceeds the simulated energy of the cosmic biological system by who knows how much. it is equivalent to picking it up in vain. The adult even said that in the future he plans to develop a weapon that adds more than twice the attack power of the two. How could I doubt the fighting method? It's just a bit of nonsense, don't pay attention to it. Her tone was sincere, just like what she said, she was just angry with a few star-level creatures who were practicing faster than them. Well, let's not talk about the future. The fact that we have such luck is a gift from God. If we talk more, you might leave us behind. Even if we don't die, what opportunities do you think we will have to reach higher in the future? Level. Luo Longxi smiled bitterly. She felt that this was indeed the case. They could no longer get rid of Jia Yan. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1451. Announcement of this site. Jia Yan's manipulation of his subordinates was actually accomplished with both parties knowing it. When Jia Yan handed over his cultivation system, he never considered giving up on this group of people. At the same time, he would definitely kill them personally when they wanted to betray them. Regarding the yin and yang system he created, Jia Yan fully understood how terrifying the future would be, so he would not give it even the slightest chance of leaking. Of course, Jia Yan doesn't know yet. There are certain things and insights in the yin and yang system. He needs to come to Jia Yan's side and understand his power before he can be promoted. If he knows, then even if his subordinates if you leave, he won't mind anything. Because there is no way to improve, even if others learn the yin and yang system, they will not be able to advance, let alone crack it, so they will be safe and worry-free. Of course, Jia Yan would not give up control of his subordinates just because of this. As time passed bit by bit, the group of subordinates on the god's side became farther and farther away from the group of stars. But there is still not much movement here in Jia Yan. Until one day, the Edissa was finally unable to maintain flight in deep space. In a burst of large energy, it escaped from the deep space and appeared in the subspace of the latent level. In this ejection, the hull lost a lot of strength, and the engine also lost a lot, woo woo woo. As the intelligence brain of the Edissa, she felt extremely heartbroken by the damage inside the Edissa. Especially when it felt that the original lifespan problem of the Edissa had become more serious after this reluctant jump, it became even more excited. Because the Edissa was an old model aircraft that had been buried deep in the mysterious giant for thousands of years, and then, he followed Jia Yan all the way, either at great speed or, it was a catapult battle all the way, which for an old ship seemed to accelerate its wear and tear. So Edissa knows that the hull of the Edissa will soon be scrapped in the future. My lord has said that he will find a way. I will work hard and help you get out of the spirit realm. If the Edissa sinks, I will sink with it. Edissa didn't know who to tell it to, because Jia Yan hadn't recovered his mind yet, and the relationship with the group of subordinates was not that good, so at this moment, it felt very lonely, and just said just come out. Don't worry, even if the adults forget you in the future, we will not forget you. We will help you find a suitable repair method when the time comes. Lawrence suddenly spoke. Yes, we will help you. Several subordinates on the side all spoke like this. Haha, thank you. I will also help you speak kindly in front of adults. The little light and shadow mosquitoes rolled around happily. Since then, the atmosphere in the entire Edissa seems to be getting better day by day. Flying in the subspace of the latent layer, even if it is fast, is only several to 10 times faster than the normal speed of light, although for ordinary people, it is already extremely fast. But for navigation in the vast universe, it is still like a tortoise crawling slowly. The relationship between the subordinates became better and they slowly became harmonious again. But during this period, Jia Yan was like sleeping in his giant cocoon. There was no movement at all. The atmosphere inside the Edissa is constantly changing. On this day, Luo Longxi and several other female gods chatted with stellar powerhouses. You guys think, Should we go out and find some repair energy or metal from the Aditha? Lawrence suddenly asked. I think it's okay, but I don't know that the adults haven't told us. Can we do this ourselves? It's no good if we don't do it. Haven't you heard the size of Edessa these days? If it is not repaired, the Edessa may not even be able to send us out, and his body will disintegrate in the near future. Lawrence analyzed calmly. The Edessa has a very close relationship with you. When you wake up, you definitely don't want to see that the Edessa has been damaged. That's right. Let's just do it. Let's talk about it. What should we do next? I just asked the Edessa to measure the situation in the outside world. This place is hundreds of light years away from where we ejected previously. Even if there is a God Emperor, his strength cannot reach such a level. In faraway places, unless you are the God Emperor, there is only a slight possibility. And we're so fast, so generally speaking, it's unlikely that anyone would know us here. Just like last time, let's follow the purchase method and see if we can get some energy and resources needed for the Edessa. Lawrence's words aroused the agreement of all her subordinates. In fact, now in the Aditha, the so-called separation core between the gods and the stellar powerhouses has slowly and completely disappeared. Because several strong men at the stellar level have greatly improved their strength after realizing the fluctuations of Jia Yan's breakthrough, especially the simulation of the two systems has reached a very advanced level, and now they can completely. He said that he was not a star-level powerhouse, but a being from the yin-yang system. As for Luo Longxi and other gods, although their current strength does not seem to have improved that much, they also have a lot of experience. In the future, when they reach the land where they have accumulated a lot of experience, they may not necessarily be better than a few stars when they enter. How much slower is your subordinate? Therefore, in this situation where the sense of identification with the system is getting higher and higher, everyone's relationship has become more integrated. Of course, if Jia Yan could wake up, this situation would be better. Unfortunately, Jia Yan did not make any movement. Not long after making the decision, the two female gods flew out of the Edessa. The two gods who came out were none other than Luo Longxi and the goat-headed female god. Both parties were born in the spirit system, and of course they were familiar with the realm of spirits. Although neither of them had been to the star field, at least in terms of system, the possibility of being discovered was unlikely. Fortunately, their appearance this time did not cause too many changes. After all, they didn't show any strength or fight with others. But at a commercial star, they made a big deal and used the crystal of faith obtained from the last proxy war to buy the energy needed for a row of battleships and some supplies that the Edessa urgently needed, and then returned. The Edessa. However, along the way, the female goat god had always wanted to say something to Rolanth. What's the matter? If you have anything to say, just say it. We have been friends for so many years. Luo Longxi and this female goat god are also very good friends. Seeing her appearance at this time, he knew that she had something to say. Well, Lawrence, I actually want to ask, can we drop by and go home? Look at my home address. The goat god didn't have any bad thoughts, but at this moment, he couldn't help but feel homesick. After listening to her words, Luo Longxi took out the map and looked at it, and then she suddenly realized. Because of this goat-like female god, her hometown is actually not that far away from here. So your home is here. I see. I think that if the adults wake up, they should give you this opportunity. After all, we don't know how long it will take to return to our hometown in the future, and even if we can come back, we won't be able to return know whether you are an enemy or a friend. Lawrence may have also thought of her family, so there was a hint of sighing in her expression. So you mean, I can go back and take a look? The goat god explained Rolantha's words thus. Well, I think it's okay, but you have to go back and ask everyone for their opinions. If the adults are not here, we all have to discuss it together. Otherwise, if you make your own decision, it will be against the rules. Luolansi's work can be said to be impeccable. Back on the Edisha, all the gods and star-level experts, because of the special situation of this goat creature, voted for her to return home without much hesitation. Thank you everyone, I will go back and take a look. I will be back in 2 days at most. The goat god said this gratefully to a group of subordinates, and then quickly left the Edisha and headed for his hometown. Actually, I think it's a bit dangerous for her to go alone like this. Didn't you say that the Duota God King at the stellar battlefield once said that he would let your family taste revenge? Maybe she will go back now, there will be a dragnet waiting for her. A subordinate suddenly spoke. Well, not necessarily. It's not like the cowherd has never thought about such a thing, but he was so happy to see the goat creature just now that it was hard to interrupt. It's not that it won't happen, but it will definitely happen. Suddenly, just when a group of subordinates felt that they were not so firm about this guess and were hesitant to follow and protect them secretly, a voice sounded. And the owners of this voice are all very familiar with this fluctuation. It was Jia Yan, who had been half closed for almost 2 months. Lord Jia Yan. My lord, are you awake? Everyone was completely shocked at this moment. You must know that Jia Yan slept for a full 2 months once he fell asleep. They even thought for a few times that Jia Yan might be dead. Fortunately, the Edissa explained that this was an evolutionary beast, a unique way of evolution, and they were relieved. But now, Jia Yan woke up quietly. That's right, I'm awake. I just woke up. You guys have been lucky during this period. Jia Yan's voice sounded faintly. However, all living creatures felt that his fluctuations were actually higher than before, by an unknown amount. Even when they faced this shocking fluctuation, they felt a trace of suppression. You must know that they have also received great improvement recently, but under such improvement circumstances, they were actually suppressed when Jia Yan spoke lightly. My lord, you must have achieved great success in strength. Congratulations. Lord Tianyi Alang's expertise was even more powerful. No one else could react, so he was the first to say congratulations. Others had just reacted and congratulated Jia Yan one by one. But Jia Yan is not too happy now. Don't worry, I haven't come out of seclusion yet. It's still an important moment. I just have brainwave power and can talk to you. But I feel a bit dangerous about this goat monster. Otherwise, I won't say anything. So, hurry up and catch up with her on the Edisha. See her in secret. If nothing happens, don't act rashly. If something happens, rescue immediately, do you understand? It's my lord. The subordinates of Jia Yan's team, with Jia Yan's command, are like a team with a brain, and their demeanor is completely different. Even according to Jia Yan's words, his current situation seems to have not been successful in seclusion, and it is estimated that his strength is not easy to display, but with Jia Yan's words, they seem to have infinite power. This is the power of a leader. Several subordinates quickly started taking action. However, the goat monster seems to have some unique way of crossing in the nearby star field. Of course, it is like taking a bus, but the difference is that this kind of thing is only for the strong. She can quickly return to your hometown area. Otherwise, her hometown is still a light year or 2 away from here. If she wants to go back and forth in a few days, she can is completely impossible. Let's go into the subspace and chase her. Lawrence, just follow the way she walked and take that bus-like thing to chase her. We will go slower, and you should pay attention to your own safety. Jia Yan arranged the work. Lawrence also left the Edissa. She would use her identity as a god, pay a certain amount of money, take the same vehicle that the goat creature left, and quickly catch up. The Edisha here, under Jia Yan's order, was being repaired and pursued at the same time. From the beginning to the end, Jia Yan did not say anything about his decision to a group of subordinates regarding the Edissa incident. This situation also made the subordinates breathe a long sigh of relief. You must know that what they fear most is that Jia Yan is now holding them accountable. Fortunately, after Jia Yan understood the whole incident, although he did not praise them, he did not say anything wrong with them. This made their group of subordinates know Jia Yan's limits. In fact, Jia Yan really has no idea of blaming. No matter what this group of subordinates did, it was reasonable in his opinion. Although the goat god was finally asked to leave, which was somewhat inconsistent with Jia Yan's policy, but if it were Jia Yan who handled this matter himself, he probably agreed to the same thing. Of course, if it were him, he might have followed in the Edissa, because this was the best way for him to ensure the lives of his subordinates, or to ensure that his information would not be leaked. Let's go to that goat monster's hometown too. Let's see where she was born, haha. Jia Yan's mentality is actually relatively relaxed. After all, even if there is a slight possibility of danger, the probability should not be that high. U003C/BR/U003E. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1452. What Jia Yan is doing now is just to prepare for a rainy day. Of course, even if danger appears, as long as he is given a certain amount of time, and the enemy that appears does not reach the level of the God Emperor, Jia Yan is not afraid anymore. Really no longer afraid. Because Jia Yan, who is still in the process of mutation, has slowly realized that his strength, astonishing growth, and sense of power are all getting deep into his bones, making him fully understand that he now has how powerful. An intermediate existence of this level is probably no longer my opponent. No, it should be said that it is definitely not my opponent. As for Wuda, Jia Yan was silent for a long time in the giant cocoon. I guess I haven't fought before, so I really don't know. But even so, my strength has definitely reached an astonishing level. You know, I am still a star who has just stepped into the middle level. As long as I am given the strength that I have just been promoted in a few months, in a week period, what does it mean to have good things? Even a relatively weak God Emperor would probably be able to escape in front of him. Jia Yan is becoming more and more confident in his own strength. This feeling of being an evolved beast and then rapidly increasing in strength, quickly surpassing his former enemies or friends one by one, made Jia Yan extremely obsessed with him all the way. Although this situation caused him to have no friends at all, because he had already surpassed that level as soon as he became a friend. He was not at the same level at all, so how could he be a friend? Even if there is some kind of cooperative relationship, it will definitely become impossible to cooperate in the future because Jia Yan has exceeded that level too much. Just like his current subordinates, Jia Yan thought to himself, if his cultivation speed continues like this, and they don't have a great understanding of the yin and yang system, maybe it won't be long before they will be completely surpassed by Jia Yan. And then could no longer help Jia Yan, and finally gave up helplessly. This is the tragedy of a cosmic creature, especially a gifted creature. Of course, that time has not yet arrived. Especially after Jia Yan had just solved what he had to do and announced that he had caught up with the goat creature, he suddenly felt surprised that a group of subordinates had made a huge breakthrough in his yin and yang dao. My subordinates probably won't be abandoned by me too soon. I see. When I made a breakthrough, did you feel the profound principles of yin and yang? I understand. After asking the cowherd and other creatures, Jia Yan finally understood why these subordinates suddenly had such a big breakthrough in his yin and yang system. It turned out that it was the sense of power released throughout his body when he mutated that made them realize it. My breakthrough power actually has such an effect. It's a pity that such a good thing has not happened to my family on Earth. Jia Yan feels regretful, but it doesn't work when he thinks about it, because his relatives on the earth are too weak, so weak that it is estimated that the power he has when he breaks through will kill them directly, so even if Jia Yan knows this kind of yin and yang cultivation, the method of tying them cannot help them. Forget it, if I can return to earth this time, I will start to use the teachings of the yin and yang system. Haha, it just so happens that the Orion arm is almost under my control. Maybe, my yin and yang system can be used in the Orion arm in my hometown, maybe we can carry it forward. Jia Yan's thoughts are too far-reaching. After all, he has not yet left the realm of the gods, and there are still many dangers ahead. Thinking so much about the future is a bit too ambitious. But it's not a bad thing to think about future plans first. At least Jia Yan has now thought clearly about what path he will take next. That is the struggle for hegemony. If I want to follow the footsteps of the galaxy in the future, it will be too difficult to rely on myself. Every galaxy-level powerhouse has a huge force behind him, and even the support of the entire star field. If I keep fighting alone, even if I am an evolved beast, and it is absolutely impossible for me to reach the galaxy level easily, let alone become a powerful territory lord level existence like the previous evolved beast seniors. Jia Yan has a lot on his mind, but time waits for no one. When he imagined what level his strength would reach after coming out of seclusion, the goat god under him was already riding a vehicle similar to a bus system at this moment, arriving at another barren galaxy not far from where they were ejected. Father God, Mother God, I'm back. As soon as she saw a planet, she flew forward extremely happily. It's a planet that's not that big, and it's not that prosperous. But this barren planet, which looks grayish-yellow on the surface, is covered with yellow sand everywhere, and doesn't even have much space for farming, is actually the place where this female goat god was born and grew up. She still remembers that she spent a carefree childhood here, and then entered the best age for cultivation. Her parents detected that she had extremely high talents, and then a group of relatives and other things were extremely happy. It's been so long since I left my hometown. I don't know what happened to Father God and Mother God. As a very talented god, the goat creature actually had good parents, otherwise it would be difficult to suddenly give birth to a daughter like her. They are also gods, and their strength is not bad. Of course, compared to the current goat gods, they are far behind. Lily, are you back? Before it descended to the ground, a female voice suddenly reached her ears. It's the voice of the Mother Goddess. Haha, Mother Goddess, I'm back. Although I've only been back for a while, I miss you. The goat god's name is Lily. She is an extremely sentimental god like Roland's and other female gods. At this moment, when she heard her mother's voice, she immediately spoke out with great joy. Come on, Lily. And just as she was speaking, suddenly, the voice that spoke to her anxiously called out this sentence. Then the sound suddenly stopped. The goat god was startled at first, and then his demeanor changed drastically. She knew something was wrong. And this voice must be because of her, her mother goddess is in danger. Could it be that what happened to me in the stellar battlefield has spread to my hometown? Her expression was extremely solemn, because she knew that this kind of thing was not impossible. Under such circumstances, she did not stop flying to her home planet, because she could not give up her family or her mother goddess. Mother God, Father God, are you okay? She screamed loudly, and at the same time, her powerful power, which she had just broken through, exploded across the entire planet. It's awesome. It's worthy of being a troublemaker on the stellar battlefield. However, if we dare to wait and wait, we won't be unprepared. Suddenly, from beneath the earth, a voice of faint laughter also sounded. This is an extremely unfamiliar voice. In the memory of the goat god, there has never been another powerful person on her home planet. Therefore, she instantly analyzed the sudden appearance of the owner of a god-level power. Must be the existence that caused her mother goddess to look like she is now. Release my mother goddess. She let out an earth-shattering voice of anger, and then rushed towards the place where the powerful man released the terrifying pressure. Haha, you know my power, but you dare to come here. Please see clearly what level my strength is. As she flew away, the owner of that power burst into laughter, and then an earth-shattering terrifying pressure erupted from the yellow sand on the earth. Boom! The earth-shattering terrifying power made the goat god who had just flown nearby feel a terrifying power in an instant. And this power, not even the attack power, actually caused the flying goat creature to be knocked upside down by the bombardment. Rise! What? God, God King. The goat creature can also be regarded as a creature at the level of the God King. She has fought many times and has a full understanding of the power of the God King. So at this moment, she knew that the existence that controlled her family was actually a person. God King. And judging from the fluctuating power, this God King is not just an ordinary God King. The title of God King? Why did a God King of such strength come to my house? Did the news about me spread so quickly, and they still think that my value is extremely high? Otherwise, how could a God King come? I'm waiting here at my house. The goat female spirit, at this moment, felt less impulsive and looked at the undulating land below. Her expression slowly became more solemn. But at the same time, the anger in her heart also erupted very clearly. Because she saw that where the power of a terrifying level powerhouse erupted, there was an extremely huge God King level creature. There were even 3 gods beside him who also seemed to be of high strength. But this is not the key point. The key point is that next to the God King creature, a goat-white creature that is very similar to her is so firmly controlled and tied to the God King's side, unable to move. Mother Goddess. The goat god was so angry that he almost rushed out impulsively to fight to the death with a group of creatures below. Wait a minute, we don't want to kill you. If you know what's going on and don't want your mother goddess to get hurt or die, then just accept your fate and come down. The God King creature said this to the impulsive goat god calmly. Me. Lily, run away quickly. Your father has been killed by them. Even if you save me, I will follow in your father's footsteps. Now I beg you to live well and leave, my daughter. The white goat creature suddenly raised its head and shouted like this to the goat creature above it. Shut up. The God King creature's face turned cold, and after swiping his tail, the mother goddess of the goat god was swept away by a big mouth, causing blood to spurt out. You wanna die? The goat god was so angry that he almost lost his mind at this moment. In the world of gods, the punishment of a god usually does not affect their family members, but she never thought that her family would be responsible for her mistakes. She even heard from her mother goddess that her parents were dead. She couldn't think of any other reasons, and the only reason she could think of to die was because of her. Because she took refuge with Lord Jia Yan in the stellar battlefield. That can't be the case, Mother Goddess. You tell me that my parents are not dead. Don't ask. Your father God is dead. I killed him with my own hands. Now if you don't want Mother God to do the same, please come down obediently. Or do you want me to do it myself? The God King laughed, obviously not paying much attention to the goat creature's strength. After all, as a titled God King, his strength is not much worse than that of Wuda as long as he is on the side of the stellar battlefield. Or even if it is worse, he still has a chance to escape. In the face of such an existence, a mere lily is nothing. What? In fact, this God King exists and is waiting here to try his luck to see if he can block the entire Jia Yan team. He was a little excited when he thought about the value of the existence of the evolved beast, and even the existence of a god emperor, who paid a little attention to it. This time he was just trying his luck here, but he didn't expect that finding Shi Yuan would actually succeed. If he could even catch the evolved beast, his status would be able to win over him in the future. The God Emperor was definitely not something he had dared to imagine before. Hey, I heard that you gods actually followed an outside star-level powerhouse, right? You even learned some unique cultivation methods from this stellar powerhouse, right? Since you have betrayed our divine system, you must accept punishment. For example, now. The God King who spoke lightly stepped on the goat god's mother, a female goat god who looked very much like her, into the ground. This kind of attack does little harm, but to a god, it is the ultimate insult. Especially the goat god, seeing his mother being so humiliated, almost instantly felt the urge to die with his enemy. But she still wasn't that impulsive. The previous battle with Jia Yan made her calmer, or in other words, she would no longer be so irrational when faced with a desperate situation. The current rage made her angry, but it also made her calm down slightly. My Lord God King, please tell me what I need to do to let my mother go. If I voluntarily accept your arrest, I wonder if you can let my mother goddess go. Haha, I'm ashamed to be able to take refuge in a bitch from an outside star-level existence when I was begging for my life. You really know the real thing. The God King smiled lightly. Then his strength slowly converged. He lightly flexed his paws at the goat god. Come down here, and tell us honestly, where is that Jia Yan, no, that evolved beast, where it is now. The words he said were extremely ironic, because in his mind, this goat creature was simply a person who was greedy for life and afraid of death. I said. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1453. The goat god was completely despairing at this moment. She didn't want to be a betrayer. But the actual situation is that she can't do it. Because on the earth, her mother goddess has been controlled by the enemy. If she does not obey, then the mother goddess will be killed by the enemy. In fact, if she didn't say it, she would die. At this moment, she didn't know what she should do at all, so by some strange combination of circumstances, she agreed to the enemy's words. Haha, very good, come down here. The God King laughed happily, and then his eyes flashed with a ruthless expression. In her opinion, this goat-like god is definitely going to die. When she tells Jia Yan where she is, it will be her death date. Lily, run away. The mother goddess is proud of giving birth to you. Suddenly, the goat god, who was carved from the same mold as the goat god, shouted, and then a shocking power burst out from her body. As a god, the divine crystal is the foundation of the god, or it is difficult for outsiders to control it. Even though the God King had already used such means to control and block the goddess of the goat goddess through the divine crystal. But there are too many methods among the gods. Even if he can easily catch the goat god, he is still a little short of the divine crystal that completely controls her. However, the mother goddess of the goat god could only reluctantly urge the divine crystal to self-destruct. Boom! Before both parties could react in shock, the goat mother goddess suddenly exploded. The huge explosive force swept away the surrounding land and sky. Anyway, there were not many living creatures on this planet, and everyone was killed by the God King and his subordinates, so she exploded without any regret. At the moment of its self-destruction, the goat creature flying in the sky saw its mother's last gaze, which meant that she should live well. Mother Goddess. Mom. At this moment, the goat god was completely stunned by what his mother had done. The moment the mother goddess blew herself up, she understood the meaning inside. Escape. There is no thought of revenge at all, or in other words, this thought is absolutely impossible to achieve now. So she chose to escape instantly. What kind of female goddess is she? She's so decisive. She's willing to do anything for her children. She's great, haha. But it's useless. The power of her divine crystal to self-destruct can't even hurt our skin. Huh. Why did my daughter, who was so bold just now, suddenly escape? Haha, he must have taken advantage of his mother's self-destruction to escape. Such children are simply beyond the control of my God. She is not our God anymore. Forget it, go and arrest her. If you find out the information, kill her. Several gods and the God King, who were disgraced but not injured in the explosion, looked at the escaping goat god above their heads in the smoke. A god beside the God King quickly flew up. As a being who has reached the late stage of godhood, this god is extremely confident in his own strength. So he was the first to step forward, preparing to take down the goat god, and then make his own God King look proud. This guy can't do it alone, you all can come on. Unexpectedly, the God King analyzed it clearly, and at the first moment, he said to the other two gods around him. He has long known about what happened to Jia Yan and others on the stellar battlefield. Each of their fighting prowess exceeded that of ordinary gods. He analyzed this very clearly, so at this time he ordered all his subordinates to go up and deal with the goat god. For him, it is basically impossible to do it by himself, because if the goat god has to do it himself, wouldn't it mean that her improvement is huge, and the evolved beast behind her is even greater? Then he wouldn't dare to do anything to it. But this is impossible. Even if it is an evolved beast, it is impossible for it to progress too much in a short period of time, right? Even though the creatures in the Great Spirit Realm knew that Jia Yan was from a clan of evolved beasts, he was even a famous legendary race in outer space. But I still know too little about this race and the horrors of this race. What's more, even if the previous evolved beast was powerful, it doesn't mean that this evolved beast's creature is just as powerful, right? It is said that evolved beast is not just famous for that, most of its strength is not that exaggerated. Of course, these creatures in the great domain of the gods do not understand the rumor that the evolved beasts are invincible to the stars. In other words, when an evolved beast reaches the stellar level, then he is invincible. And Jia Yan has reached the stars, so this God King must have made a miscalculation. Of course, it's not the time for him to feel regret yet. He just stood quietly on the ground, waiting for the outcome of the war above. Escape, run away, don't let the opportunity created by the mother goddess go to waste. The goat god almost burst into tears. You must know that she has always felt extremely beautiful about her hometown. She has always wanted to get ahead and live a better life with her parents in her hometown. A god or star-level powerhouse can live for many years. She is still young. She originally thought that the time she would be able to spend with her parents in the future would be very long. Unfortunately, everything today shattered all her dreams. I want revenge. Not only for this God King, but also for this weird realm of gods, because such a place with such rigid ideas, should not exist. At this moment, the goat god's anger towards himself turned into anger against the entire god realm. Because she knows that all this is not anyone's fault, nor is it Master Jia Yan's fault, but the fault of this great realm of gods, but the fault of the gods as a whole, for their wrong views on the creatures in the outside world. So she felt that if she wanted to take revenge, the overall target of revenge should be the overall god. Run, run, run. She ran away as fast as crazy. But the speed of the gods chasing after them was not slow either. And just in front of the space where she escaped, another god actually jumped out. Haha, I've been waiting here for a long time. I finally intercepted it. I've made a great contribution. This divine creature is a strong man who has reached the lower level of a divine being. However, even if he reaches the lower level of the gods, he is not that powerful to the goat god in front of him. Because she is also a lower level god, and her strength has reached a shocking level of cross-level combat. Get out. At this moment, the goat god burst into anger. Haha, you want me to leave, it's impossible, just obey. That god didn't care about the goat god's attack at all, because even he could see that the goat god's strength was the same as his own, but in fact, in this great domain of gods, there was no way for female gods to attack. There is still discrimination, that is, they think that their strength is a small level weaker than the strength shown. In other words, even if the goat god is the same as this stumbling block that suddenly jumped out, in fact, her strength is not as strong as this stumbling block. Look down on me. Die. Unexpectedly, this god was absolutely wrong, and his mistake was fatal. When the goat god saw that this god did not dodge and confronted him head-on, his eyes suddenly lit up, and then he used his strongest attack. After all, her current situation is extremely dangerous. If she cannot break through the blockade of this god, a group of gods will intercept her from behind. Although she has become more and more confident in her own strength, she never thinks that she can escape in front of a titled god king. So she was using her full strength, trying to kill the enemy with one blow, and then escape from here before the god king looked down on her. Haha, a female god wants to fight me head on. It's simply ridiculous. The god looked happy and was amused by the female god in front of him. But just when he laughed. What? What kind of power is this, my god? This powerful god suddenly felt that a superpower that definitely did not belong to ordinary gods erupted from the body of the goat god. For a moment, he felt a trace of shock. Then, without waiting for more of his emotions to appear, the attack from the goat god completely swallowed up his moves, and then a burst of earth-shattering energy directly submerged the god. This terror, is this the strength that the King of Gods said we should be careful about? If any one of us encounters such strength alone, we will definitely die. The group of gods following behind felt a little bit of fear when they saw the goat god's sudden burst of power, killing a powerful god with similar strength to them in an instant. They had underestimated him just now, but now this goat god suddenly killed one of their colleagues without any hesitation. If they were in another position, they might be the ones who died. But that's it for now. She is very powerful, but if we work together, we will definitely be able to control her. Look, Lord God King has discovered something is wrong here. He is about to take action. If we work harder, even if we catch her, we will definitely hold her back. A god suddenly showed a ferocious look. You must know that they are seeking refuge with a titled God King. If they cannot perform well under this God King, they may be abandoned after a while. A person with the title of God King, who wants to have gods as his subordinates, can have more than 3 digits of people queuing up. So they can't help a little bit here. Stop. Just after the goat god killed the obstacle, a terrifying attack appeared from behind her. Never stop. The goat god retaliated, causing the distant attacker to keep retreating. It's scary, such a powerful energy, and it doesn't look like the fighting method of our gods. You are indeed a treasonous person who betrayed my god system. You are the rebellious person, die. Just when this god wanted to say something that would cause the goat god to feel any lack of mood, which would create a good opportunity for them to attack. A voice of rebuttal erupted from a meteorite not far from his side. This is another female voice. And what flew out was actually a woman who looked like a human woman, with an extremely beautiful face, but a woman who was as huge as 1 kilometer in size. Her body was completely surrounded by branches, green leaves and other things, and these things turned into her clothes, making her hazy figure completely immersed in the dim light of the universe. What? Who is it? He actually has helpers. One by one, the divine creatures felt extremely shocking vibrations at this moment. Because the god who was attacked unexpectedly died in an instant. The female voice that burst out with strength didn't appear to be much weaker than the goat god. Laurency, why are you here? The goat spirit was also a little shocked at this moment, but soon, she burst out with a hint of joy. Because this female god friend came out, maybe their leader would also show up. Could it be that the adults have left seclusion? Don't be happy, let's go quickly. The adults haven't left the border yet. We have to escape further and to rendezvous with the Aditha. As soon as Luo Longxi appeared, she immediately started transmitting the voice. The content of the voice shocked the goat god. She actually wanted Master Jia Yan to avenge her, but now that she heard that Jia Yan didn't leave the prison and just let them escape by themselves, she knew how complicated the situation was. Come on, I've built a battleship that's not slow. It's right in front. Let's escape together. Lawrence quickly came to the goat creature and pointed somewhere. The two female gods instantly burst out with all their strength and fled quickly in that direction. Humph, these idiots can't even catch a female god. Just after they left for a while, maybe not even 10 seconds, a shadow appeared from the goat god's home planet. This shadow is the title of the god king who just designed Xian to frame the family of the goat god. It seems I still have to do it myself. The title god king looked at a group of subordinates who were in complete confusion. After pondering for a moment, he actually attacked a group of female gods regardless of whether they would be laughed at. After all, his big plan is to focus on this goat god. And what just appeared, according to my information, seems to be that Luo Longxi. Haha, I didn't expect that it would lead to two related gods. So, the possibility that Jia Yan is nearby, is it too big? This is great. If I catch him, it will be a great achievement. The existence of this god king has an extremely strong desire to capture Jia Yan. You must know that such an existence that can fight across ranks and transform into a divine creature is, for some god emperors in the great realm of gods, they are all excellent research organisms. As long as you catch them in exchange for status, you will definitely get big rewards.